Grimsley and Carey Davis on the opening drive, presented by Sumner One.
Oh.
Do you remember when it comes time in September? Yeah. Good morning, everyone, and happy September. Welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN with Brooke Grimsley and Carey Davis and Matthew Rocc, who are all dancing in the studio. I'm Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us. And if you want to watch us dance, you can on the YouTube. All you need to do is go to youtube.com and type in 101 ESPN STL. How you guys doing?
Well, after that song.
Cornhole champions.
Oh,
I do have on my Jason Moss shirt.
yeah.
However, we were not champions. Champions in life, we are.
There we go.
Good.
So you
Yes.
are correct.
You two were at the Jason Mott Foundation Cornhole Championship last night. I was with Greg Amsinger over at Lindenwood, where our Lions, we were at our alma mater.
How'd that go?
The Lindenwood Lions beat Wisconsin-Stevens Point 77-9.
Is that even allowed?
Well, it was 56-0 at halftime.
That's wonderful.
It was Cole Duggar. 9 of 14 for 263 and 4 touchdowns, no picks. Passing touchdowns of 60 and 72 yards on back-to-back possessions.
Nice.
Go LU. And a win for MIZ, ZOU, last night, 35-10 over South Dakota at Faurot Field.
Yes. And
The quarterback competition was so intense. It was the amount of snaps that both players had, the opportunities that were given to both. You know, it was exactly what we thought it would be.
It just feels to me, Carey and Brooke, like this is really a difficult decision for Eli Drinkwitz.
It's gonna be weeks in before we can figure out which one of these guys is the guy. Rocc, you know what I mean?
I have no clue after last night. I do not know.
One guy had
26 passing
attempts.
attempts. Obviously, went equally 13-13 between the two.
No, I think one had 21 attempts. The other had 5.
Yeah. There was a.
They both did have one touchdown, though.
Hey!
If that matters at all.
There you go.
So I was fortunate to be at Lindenwood because, as you guys know, I have a tendency to exhibit black outrage now and then.
I have heard.
It has happened. And if I'm watching that TV and Spectrum puts up a sign that says, "We no longer carry ESPN, we apologize," there would have been some serious black outrage. There would have. So do you guys, have I told you the story about when I got the maddest? It was then Charter. So I was having a problem with my cable, and I called up and spent a lot of time, maybe 45 minutes on the phone with somebody from another country. And I got really frustrated, and I hung up, and I called that number right back. "Hello, this is Spectrum. How can we help you?" I said, "Just let me talk to somebody in America."
Oh my God.
I think I asked for, no, it was the poor woman. "Where are you?" "Manila, the Philippines." "Let me talk to somebody in America." And I think it was a Saturday, and I did wind up. And fortunately,
did you
they
get
moved all
someone?
their call center now is at Northwest Plaza.
There you go.
I did.
You may have been the reason for that.
I could have been. Boy,
the
was
anger.
I mad. And last night it would have been a similar situation because there was no forewarning. It just shows up, and the poor Spectrum people that are watching that game, oh man, I can't tell you how mad I would have been.
Randy, I've been that angry before. It was with T-Mobile at one point. And the guy on the line, customer service is obviously not great. And he was on the line. I said, "You know what? You have my information, don't you? You got my address. Come on up. Come on down. We can get to it right now. Come on over. I'm waiting. Come over now. I don't know where you are, but you can get to me."
I love it.
It's so frustrating.
So intense.
I think everybody's been there at least once.
Oh.
At least once. You know who was feeling like that.
I got on the phone and waited. Like, I'm waiting on you.
I'm surprised Carrie didn't break it out like, my available time is between now and when I whoop your ass.
Whenever you get here, now until forever.
Just sitting, waiting. Well, where are you? Let's see. Well, it's
Waiting.
It's interesting because you know who was just as mad. We were touching on that on social media. People are pretty upset because they felt a little deceived by Eli Drinkwitz when it came to the quarterback competition. So we discussed it a little bit. If you look at the numbers, there's definitely a difference between Brady Cook and Sam Horn's numbers. So what exactly did Eli Drinkwitz have to say about the quarterback competition now?
Well, I just stepped off the football field, so I don't have any plan for next week. I've kind of told everybody that I've got no preconceived ideas going into it and that I'm going to let the play speak for itself. So I'm going to go back and evaluate the tape. Obviously, the blink assessment would be that, Brady played a more consistent first half. Sam's interception, the ball bounces off the receiver's chest and bounces up in the air. Maybe it was behind him. Maybe it could have been a better throw. But, can't tip the ball up there in that situation. That makes it a little bit worse. But, we'll go back and evaluate the tape. I'm not going to make a rush judgment there on that decision. But I did think Brady was very efficient. And Sam had his moments, too. That was a nice touchdown drive at the end of the game right there and converted a big 3rd and long with that little screen pass to Luther. Good call right there by Kirby.
There you go.
It would not appear as if the playing time or playing abilities were equal for Brady Cook, who was injured last year, and give him credit, led Mizzou to a bowl game. But you do have a guy that was the number 70 recruit in the nation the year before and has options to play other sports. And really, it doesn't appear, now, Eli Drinkwitz sees practice, but it doesn't appear as if in game action that the opportunity has been given to Sam Horn that has been given to Brady Cook.
Well, I think Drink said something important there. We're just getting off the field. I haven't had a chance to evaluate the tape. What you see on tape could be different from what you saw in the game in real time. So you do need to go watch the tape, process how each quarterback went through their progressions, watch how each quarterback handled different situations. It seems as though Brady Cook had more opportunities, and maybe that's the way that they go going forward. In terms of being the 70th ranked recruit, to me, once you get on campus, none of that matters. It's about the men in the uniforms and having the opportunity to go play the game, and the best man should play. And so I'm looking down in Texas, and Arch Manning is one of the top recruits in the country this year. He's probably not going to be the starting quarterback. Quinn Ewers is. So it's all about just doing your job when you get there, and they will evaluate the film, and maybe something happens in the next game where Brady Cook doesn't get as many opportunities. Maybe he throws an interception early or, makes some bad reads, and Sam Horn is consistent in that game. And, they go in that direction.
Well, it seems it's exactly like what we thought, right? That Brady Cook was probably going to be the quarterback that you would assume after the first game just because of the experience level. He was pressed a little bit more during the conversation, and he was asked, does he want to see Horn in a start to decide the competition?
Nope, it's not important to me. The results on the field, he had the same players in front of him, same defense. So we'll look at it and see if we feel like, base it off of this performance fall camp and probably even after practice this week if we feel like opportunity was earned or not.
Well, this is a big year for Eli Drinkwitz, and part of being able to survive in any coaching job is to be able to pick the right players to help you win games. If he does not pick the right players, and by the way, Mizzou did win 35-10, and Cook was good. So let's not take anything away from Brady Cook's performance. It's just that we expected that the two would get equal opportunity last night. But if Eli doesn't pick the right guy, then he's not going to be around. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to keep in mind here. It's your first game. It's Sam Horn's really his first game ever. He played a little last year, but it not to this extent, right? So your first real college football experience, first game of the year. I think that it will play out how it's going to play out. And if Brady Cook can hold him off, I was telling Rocc yesterday, he said, what do you think about the quarterback competition? Well, What I think is they think Brady Cook is the guy, but they think Sam Horn can be really good. That's why they're giving both of them the opportunity. It's on Sam Horn to take the job. It's not on Brady Cook to lose it. Sam Horn has to play well enough, has to play better than what you're getting from Brady Cook, because right now you can get quality quarterbacking from Brady Cook, and if Sam Horn can overtake that with his playmaking ability and showing a better ability to do the job better than Brady Cook can, and he'll have the job.
Midway through the first quarter, Brady Cook did break the ice on the scoring front.
They're going to go 5 wide here on 3rd down and 5. Cook clean in the pocket, has a man, caught for a touchdown. Mekhi Miller, the sophomore out of Overland Park.
And that made it 7-0 Mizzou. Nathaniel Peake capping a 7-play, 38-yard drive by the end of the first quarter to make it 14-0. And then after a field goal for South Dakota, Mizzou got a 2-yard touchdown run from Cody Schrader. And then in the final minute of the first half,
each team now with 4 penalties as Cook is going to take off. I know you love this part of his game, Aaron. That's a touchdown for Missouri. Brady Cook being decisive, finds a seam and gets it into the end zone from 15 yards out.
28-3 at halftime. 35-10 was the final. Oh, by the way, Luther Burden, 7 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown for MIZ-ZOU.
That's what you want to see. You want to see Luther take those next steps as a receiver for Mizzou. Cody Schrader was also a really dominant force for Mizzou on the ground with 18 carries for 184 yards and a score. And you just want to see that progression because there's definitely some question marks on offense. And it's just the first game, but there was a lot of positives. I would say the only negative would be Harrison Mevis, if you were going to talk about some negatives in this game.
The thicker kicker?
Yeah,
Yes.
he was bad missing kicks, and
Yes.
the polish has come off a little bit. I do want to say, though, like, I was a little disappointed that 6 of the 7 catches for Burden were screens or little dump offs, little quick passes behind the shuttle passes behind the line. That's the game where I wanted him to say, okay, he's developing. Here's a route tree against a cornerback tandem that isn't going to be as hard as the SEC ones. I wanted to see some progression there. If he's not running a route tree against South Dakota, what is he doing against LSU?
Why do you do that when you have a guy like him or Tavon Austin?
Casey's fine.
It shows up on the text line.
All the time. Well, it's the reason why it's the easiest way to get them the ball without thinking, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that he can't think or that he's unable to think, but it's the easiest way to get the ball in the playmaker's hands right now. When you're running routes, you might run a route combination, and he may not be the receiver that gets the ball based on the coverage. But if I call a screen, a now route, I know I'm throwing it to him no matter what the coverage is because he's the guy getting the ball. So that's probably why they're doing that. Just get the ball in his hands quickly. Hopefully, as the offense expands, there will be opportunities downfield and real routes where, he's running digs and outs and slants, posts, whatever, and making sure that he's getting those routes and beating those coverages.
Isn't there also another factor, too, of not showing maybe too much early on?
I mean, I'm sure that probably has something to do with it. Once you know the game is pretty much out of hand, you don't have to continue to open up your playbook and show everything that you have.
That's what happened to the Lindenwood Lions.
That's
sure.
It sounds like the whole playbook was displayed.
The whole second half.
Right, yep. USC, and the USC had already played Saturday. They trampled San Jose State 56-28. Caleb Williams, Heisman Trophy winner last year and probably this year, 18 of 25 for 278, 18 completions, 278 yards, 11.1 per completion or per attempt, and 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions. The Trojans passed for 341, run for 160, and take care of the Trojans beat the Spartans. How about that? 56-28. That was an old school contest right there. Baseball last night, Ronald Acuna with quite a day. He got married during the day and then did this at night.
Ronald hammers this to left center. That ball is history. And Ronald Acuna Jr. just made history. He has Major League Baseball's first ever 30-60 season, and he does it in grand fashion.
Unbelievable. 30 homers, 60 stolen bases. It was 6-1 after the second inning in favor of Atlanta. The Dodgers came back, made it close. 8-7 was the final. Mookie Betts, who's from Tennessee, by the way.
He is.
With a couple of home runs, the Braves beat the Dodgers in the opener of this 4-gamer 8-7. And Ronald Acuna, we talk about Shohei Ohtani being the best player in baseball. Ronald Acuna is the best player that's not doing both pitching and hitting.
30 home runs, 60 stolen bases, the
Crazy.
first time ever. That in itself is amazing.
Yeah.
Baseball has been played for hundreds of, how many?
About 150.
That's
a long time.
amazing.
Yeah.
That you're the
Phenomenal.
first player to ever do that. And
Yeah.
he's not even, I heard Mookie Betts is the odds-on favorite to win NL MVP.
Betts, Freeman, and Acuna. It's those
gonna
three.
Be a race.
It should be. Acuna 3 for 4 RBIs, hitting .337 on the season now. And normally, after, like this happened to Tiger Woods, normally after guys get married, they don't perform as well on the field. And Acuna did right away.
Tiger had
Tiger had other
going
things
on.
going on.
things happening in his life.
There's a lot happening there.
Preventing him from
Yeah.
just staying locked in at all times.
And the Cardinals play tonight. They welcome the Pirates to town for a 3-game series. Yeah, Dakota Hudson going for the Redbirds. Mitch Keller goes for Pittsburgh. That's a 7:15 game at the ballpark. We're off and running here on the opening drive. Coming up, we've got Birdwatch for you. Stick around.
We're flying down to the field to give you the latest on your St. Louis Cardinals. This is Birdwatch on the opening drive.
ESPN's Pete Hamill reporting that the ACC has voted to invite Stanford, Cal, and SMU to join the conference in all sports starting in 24-25. So Stanford, Cal, and SMU apparently will accept those invitations. North Carolina issued a very strident statement yesterday saying we want nothing to do with our student athletes. North Carolina called their athletes students. They said we want nothing to do with our student athletes having to travel all the way across the country. This is North Carolina, and Matthew has more intimate knowledge of this. But isn't North Carolina the one that offered literally a basket weaving class, and then even then didn't require players to go to it?
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
The reason why I'll never forget this is just because UNC had everything come out that they had created a fake class schedule, and hundreds of players were taking it, and that was in about a 12-month window of when Mizzou self-reported one tutor helping a student pass the bounds they should have, and they dropped the hammer on Mizzou, and they just kind of glossed over what happened at UNC. It was the biggest joke in the world.
Robert Quinn was one of those. No, Robert Quinn he got free jewelry.
Yes.
There's a saying.
He was ineligible for it.
Your game got to be bigger than your problems. Mizzou game not bigger than their problems. North Carolina's was.
There you go.
One tutor.
Doesn't matter.
An entire class schedule.
You're trying to think of like logical reasons as to why that would matter.
No, you're totally right. No, and I always go back to this one, and it's classic. And so Mizzou was flying recruits' parents in on private jets. Kroenke and Laurie loaned their private jets to the program, and they're flying them in and not charging them. And they were supposed to charge the parents normal commercial fare, even though they fly them in on private jets. And so somebody finds out about this, and the NCAA starts investigating, and they ask Quinn Snyder about it, and Quinn Snyder says, well, we do that at Duke all the time. and the NCAA never said a word about Duke or anything. And Quinn Snyder was there. He was the right-hand man to Mike Krzyzewski, but Duke wasn't going to get investigated by the NCAA. So it goes to exactly what you're talking about.
Game bigger than your problems. You're good to go.
Yeah. All right, time for Bird. We've won 2 in a row. We have won 2 in a row. You know what happens if we win today? We, the Cardinals.
It is a winning streak.
Oh.
And it has happened before.
Birdwatch. Look.
Real quick, somebody said, what did we learn? Never self-report.
Yep. That is the bottom line. Never self-report.
It's always the question, right? Is it better to self-report it or is it not? And it doesn't seem like it is with the NCAA.
You never self-report
yourself?
Yep. And then you obfuscate like Jim Harbaugh's done. And you just make it as difficult as it's stupid to do what the NCAA wants you to do. Just do what you want to do, and you can. You never self-report. Mississippi State. Wasn't it Mississippi State and Mizzou had the identical. They had the exact same tutor thing, and Mizzou self-reported. Mississippi State didn't, and Mizzou gets the bowl ban, and Mississippi State goes off scot-free. They don't do anything to Mississippi State. All right, now it's time for Birdwatch. Here we go. Did you guys know I can purr?
Wow, that is... That's a talent. This is a talent.
Where did that come from?
Cats and birds and cats. Cats hunt birds.
All right.
I'm going to apologize to the St. Louis area, but you're about to hear the phrase, did you know I can purr? All the time on this show. I'm clipping that off. I'm going to drop that every 5 seconds.
I'm fine if you do, but you have to give them the...
That is beautiful. Tell us how you discovered this talent.
I had no idea. I just did. I heard a cat doing it. Wanted to imitate the kitty.
Birdwatch is all right.
All right.
That's something.
Guys, here's what I think. And I love the fact that the Cardinals have won 2 in a row in dramatic fashion. And great walk-off wins for Tommy Edman. Tommy Edman. There's no excuse for the St. Louis Cardinals to not be able to compete with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Cardinals didn't win a game in Pittsburgh this year, and they got swept last time they were in there. Even though it's completely meaningless this weekend, I would just like to see the Cardinals be as good as the Pirates. It's not that difficult to be as good as the Pirates.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it is. And right now, the Pirates lead the Cardinals in the standings. I believe the Cardinals are in last place by 3 games. Let me just double check here and make sure that I have my numbers right. Yeah, the Cardinals are 16.5, Pirates 13.5. So, hey, let's just get a 3-game sweep and let's be as good as the Pirates.
That's something that I
at
don't
least.
think anybody would have expected
No.
for somebody to say this season. Well, you did say they were going to win the World Series, so
The
you did predict
2023
that.
world champion Pittsburgh Pirates.
Not so much.
Yeah.
They went
No.
bad quickly.
Not whatsoever. Well, my Birdwatch, guys, is going to be JoJo Romero or Yoho Romero or Ho-Ho Romero. Is that what we're running with here? Is Yoho Romero? JoJo Romero, he's really earned that high leverage role. You were wondering, of course, with Jordan Hicks and then the injury with Ryan Helsley, if he would be able to step into this role. And guys, he's done a fantastic job of it. Don't you guys think? And there's been some comparisons too of him and the Mad Hungarian, just his demeanor on the mound. What do you guys think about that?
I think he has a lot of energy. I love his enthusiasm. I remember his first win that he got this season, first time in his career he got a win. He was just so excited, and I thought that was one of the things that we hadn't seen, really from the pitching staff. The excitement, the joy, the just go get it. He feels like he has that, and I like watching him play.
I need him to get back to what he did in Philadelphia. Did you ever see the video when he crunched the Red Bull can off of his forehead as he was coming into a game?
Yes. Oh my gosh. How did I forget about that? Yes.
I need him to do that as a member of the Cardinals.
Oh, that is intense. It's funny though, because if you talk to him in person, he is just like super nice and like chill. Yeah, he's not like an angry person, intense person all the time. He doesn't have a scowl on his face. He actually like scoots in. If you ever go over to Busch Stadium, you can actually see, maybe I shouldn't reveal that because the people are going to be looking for him, but he actually scoots in to the games
with a scooter.
Yeah, that's what he does. He uses the scooter. So it's very interesting. That wasn't my bird watch necessarily because I was going to get into numbers, but in his last 15 games, he went 19 2/3 innings and 25 strikeouts during that time. So what has been working for JoJo Romero?
Just confidence and execution, and that kind of all falls behind my fastball command. Getting ahead early and often is allowing me to expand when I need to, and I think that's what we're seeing.
And he's really earned that high leverage role as we're talking about. It makes you feel confident that he will be a part of that bullpen going to next season with so many question marks. And he has 3 saves and 3 holds over 35 innings this season. JoJo, Ho-Ho, or Yoho Romero is a bright spot right now for the Cardinals.
I agree.
By the way, to correct myself, he didn't crunch the can on his forehead. He just crunched it off his arm. Just crushed it. It was great.
Why did I feel like it was on his head?
Maybe there's a different one. I'm watching the video.
Did he do that several times last season?
It must have been his thing. Yeah.
That'd be painful.
My bird watch is Dakota Hudson. He's starting tonight. Lost his first game of the season, his last outing. However, when we're looking at what Dakota Hudson is, and we are obviously looking, we have a sign outside Busch Stadium, pitchers needed ASAP. And so you're looking for a 5th starter, 4th starter, whatever that may be. I think Dakota Hudson is going to continue to prove that he deserves that spot. He's a veteran pitcher. He's not one of the younger guys, has done it in the league, has been a 16-game winner in this league. And I think he's going to continue to prove himself well. Right now, the month of August, he is a 4.55 ERA. Obviously, you want that to be a little bit lower. He's given up a few hits. Some earned runs, obviously 5 earned runs in his last start, but I would like to see him continue to perform at the level that he has all season, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's in that starting rotation in 2024.
I would not be either, and I like what I've seen. And I like better that I haven't seen it.
Because I was going to say, I was like, wait, are we supposed to be consuming Dakota Hudson right now?
Dakota Hudson tonight. I'll text you all, let you know how it goes.
Okay. Good. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. That's your Bird Watch on 101 ESPN. Coming up 1 week from today, I'm not going to be here, but neither is Jay Delsing because he's going to be participating in the Ascension Charity Classic. But he will be with us next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Last night, Missouri kicked off the 2023 their 2023 schedule with a 35-10 win over South Dakota. The quarterback battle, as it were, Brady Cook 17-21 for 172 yards and a touchdown. Sam Horn 3 of 5 for 54 yards with a touchdown and an interception. Also in local college football, Lindenwood a big 77-9 win over Wisconsin Stevens Point. And back in action, the Cardinals today starting a 3-game series against the Pirates. It'll be Dakota Hudson tonight. Drew Rahm and Adam Wainwright round out the rest of the starters for the Cardinals in this series. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
It's time to talk some golf on a Friday morning with our friend Jay Delsing. You can hear him every Sunday morning at 10 to noon here on 101 ESPN with Golf with Jay Delsing. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You're a purring man this morning. Man, I don't know about it, you guys.
All right, Jay, first things first. Are you going to be able to play in the Ascension next week?
Absolutely.
Good.
Oh, yeah. I've seen doctors. I've got a couple of shots. I'm feeling good, guys. I'm feeling good.
So you're going to be there on Sunday, and I'm planning on following you on the back nine on Sunday as you vie for the championship of the Ascension Charity Classic.
That's right, Randy. And you know what your job's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm right up there with, say, Bernard Langer, Ernie Els, you're going to have to start heckling. You're going to have to take this thing to a new level.
I've watched Happy Gilmore, and I will.
We'll go full Bob Barker, the whole thing. Yep, I'm thinking. It may be drastic on the back nine.
It might. Okay, we got a lot to cover here, and we've all got questions. I want to start with this, though, because we've been waiting for the next Tiger Woods for a long time. Is it going to be Jordan Spieth? Is it going to be Jon Rahm? Is it going to be Justin Thomas? Who is the next? Is it going to be Brooks Koepka? Who's going to be the next Tiger Woods? Is it going to be Victor Hovland, who's the third youngest player ever to win the Tour Championship?
Yeah, boy, that's a really good question. If you would have told me or asked me that question 2 years ago when Victor Hovland first came out on the PGA Tour, I'd have said, "Man, he's not even in the realm because he didn't putt or chip and pitch very well." But you guys, this is a guy who literally had the idea when he was hitting shots around the green to land the ball on the green and somehow keep it on the green. That's all he tried to do. And the amazing progress that this kid's made in 2 years, Randy, is awesome. What he did down at East Lake to play so well in that tall Bermuda rough, which is extremely challenging, was really impressive. But he's got a long way to go to catch Tiger. So I'm not going there.
I don't think anybody, I shouldn't say that. I don't think anybody in my lifetime is going to be the next Tiger Woods.
I'm with you. The next biggest question, I mean, guys, I really unfortunately think we have seen the last of what Tiger's going to do on the regular PGA Tour. I know he's going to try to amp up for the majors. I know he's going to play the father-son and things like that. He'll probably play his own tournament. But, you know, if he doesn't get in much golf in the next 2+ years, there's a real good chance he's going to play some Champions Tour golf. And, guys, that'll take the over 50 tour to an entirely different planet.
Wow. And then also I know that Nick Ragone, we're having him on later, and he's mentioned that Tiger has possibly even committed coming to the Ascension Charity Classic down the line.
Oh, yeah. Nick gets to hang out with Tiger and Rory, and, he comes back, he's got Rory's sand wedge in his hand. I'm like, dude, where have you been? What are you doing? But Tiger absolutely said, get his card ready. He knows the golf course. He knows that Hogan won at Norwood Hills. And you guys, we could start lining up security now if Tiger came. I mean, I don't know what it would be like, but I can remember the scene when Tiger walked across the bridge at Belle Reve at 18.
Oh, yes.
And, you guys, it was just St. Louis just so delivers when it comes to the sports. It's just fantastic.
That was one of my favorite memories. Well, I wanted to ask you about, because we discussed it last week as being a possibility, and now it's a reality. Even though it's been Justin Thomas's worst season on the PGA Tour, it didn't cost him a spot on the U.S. Ryder Cup team. What do you think about the decision that Johnson made to make him a part of the team?
Yeah, gosh, Brooke, you know what I think is that I think that these guys sat in a room and started thinking about pairings and who is going to pair well with one another and who. So obviously, Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay, they earned their way on the team. That's a really solid team in both four ball and alternate shot for the U.S. But Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas have been partners a lot and have done really, really well in some past Ryder Cups. It's just that you guys, this happens all the time because the Ryder Cup is a 2-year competition where you pile up these points over 2 years, and some of the guys make the team and they're not playing that well. And it's Justin Thomas just hasn't done much of anything this year. But what's interesting is that he is going to play next week out at Napa, and or the week after in Napa. And yeah, I don't know what to expect, you guys. I don't know this golf course. I know that the Euros, the top 6 on the European side, you guys, are Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, Victor Hovland, Tommy Fleetwood, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and Tyrrell Hatton. Look, they're on the wrong side of the pond for me, but those are 6 guys you go to war with anywhere along the line. Now, filling out the team from that point on, we may barely even have heard of any of the guys that are going to make the rest of that European team.
Jay, I want you to respond to this quote from Zach Johnson, the captain of the USA Cup Ryder Cup team. He said, quote, Justin Thomas has without question been the heart and soul of Team USA, our emotional leader. He leads by example. His passion for the Ryder Cup is very evident. In my mind, he was born for this, and you just don't leave JT at home. What do you think of that aspect in golf of having a leader of a team that provides team chemistry?
I think that's huge, and I think and one of the things that we have, guys, is Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns, Cantlay, Schauffele, Brian Harmon, Wyndham Clark, all of those guys that I mentioned, you guys, those are quiet guys. Jordan Spieth is very vocal, but Justin Thomas is the man when it comes to that room. He is the one that's going to be in everybody's face. He's going to be trying to encourage them. But, guys, he's got to perform. It's one thing to say it, Carey, you know what it's like if the guy is all about rah-rah, and then when it comes time to get the ball, you look at that like, hey, man, quit rah-rah me. I'm getting my butt kicked out here,
Yeah. Jay, I was wondering, we're about 3 months removed from the news of LIV and PGA merging together, and Jay Monahan, getting sick and missing some time. What are the thoughts on Jay right now as it pertains to his leadership role and commissioner of golf, and what are the players thinking of him at this moment?
Yeah, he's still really, really on the fence. I mean, getting Tiger to come onto the policy board and agree to do that is a big win for Jay. But I don't know if you guys saw any of the Tour Championship when he took the trophy and was getting ready to pass it to Victor Hovland, said a few words. I mean, it was a resounding negative response by all the patrons that were there. He's got a lot of fences to mend, Carey. He's definitely not out of the woods as far as I'm concerned. They keep talking about this framework deal, and I don't even know what that exactly means. I mean, we know we're trying to figure out, are the LIV guys going to get to come back on tour, or what is the PIF? What are we going to do with them? What are we doing with our sponsors? I mean, I don't know what that looks like, and he's got a lot of fences to mend. So I don't believe he's out of the woods, Carey, by any means.
Best month for golf in St. Louis is blank.
Oh, September. I think September and October. I love the fall golf. I get so excited in the spring, Randy, but man, it is the hardest time of the year to play because the golf courses are just coming out of the winter. They're not nearly as good a shape. Guys, when you go over to Norwood, you're going to see the best conditioned course you've ever seen in your life. The way this weather has broken with all of the rain that we had a couple weeks ago, and then the really, really intense heat. The fairways are perfect. The greens are perfect. I love September. I think it's going to be a little warmer than guys were hoping for next week, but I love that.
It is the best. I'm with you 100%. And who do you have on the show on Sunday morning?
So I've got Steve Spratt, who is the president of the Ascension Charity Classic, and he reports directly to Nick Ragone. And then I've got Jerry Haas, He is currently the coach at Wake Forest University, but he is the nephew of Bob Golby, and he's Jay Haas's brother, and that Haas lineage in golf. And he talked a lot about the Bob Golby 1968, Masters, and how Roberto DiVincenzo signed for the wrong scorecard. And Bob Golby basically took the brunt of something that he didn't do anything wrong for. He won the Masters fair and square because his competitor signed for the wrong scorecard. But Bob was accused of cheating and all sorts of crazy stuff. So it was really neat to hear Jerry's perspective and what it was like to grow up with Bob Golby.
Great stories. Jay, as always, good to have you with us on the show. Thank you very much. Have a great holiday weekend, and we will see you next week. You're playing in the Pro-Am on Tuesday, right?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Randy. Then there's going to be a lot of ice baths and a lot of Advil and probably a little bit of red wine mixed in there just for good measure. And yeah, I can't wait. And guys, if you come out to follow me, just hide behind a tree. I haven't played a tournament in 2 years.
Well, I will be out to see you, but I will be there for the Pro-Am on Tuesday, so hopefully we'll be able to connect.
Absolutely. I'll look for you, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Jay. See you later. Jay Delsing with us on 101 ESPN, and he will be performing at the Ascension Charity Classic. And as Brooke mentioned, Nick Ragone will be here in studio at 8:15 to talk more about how you can get involved with the tournament next week here at Norwood Hills Country Club. But coming up next, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Take It or Leave It next on 101 ESPN.
brought to you by Sumner One. It's time for Take It or Leave It.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your Take It or Leave It.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Great to have you with us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN with Brooke Grimsley and Carrie Davis. I'm Randy Carricker. Matthew Rocchio is here, and we do welcome your texts for Take It or Leave It to 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Okay, guys, I like to be thought of as generally a nice guy, but I'm not always really nice.
For the most part. For the most part.
Except for that blackout rage.
That happens. But yesterday we're having our show meeting. So to take you behind the curtain, after we get off the air, we go back at a conference table and we put together the next day's show. And yesterday, during our post-show planning meeting, Matthew Rocchio announced that former Cowboys general manager Gil Brandt had passed away. My reaction,
this is very transparent.
My reaction was not positive.
Thank you.
Take it or leave it. You thought at that moment that Randy Carricker was a total Richard.
I'll leave it. What I thought was that you're honest, and I respect honesty.
Thank you.
I had no issue with your feelings in that moment. It was I wouldn't even say a moment of week. It was you being honest about how you felt about a person in that moment.
I think it was striking just how quick your reaction was. It was, because I was like, yes.
The words that came out of
yes.
But after we kind of processed it, like, okay, that's your feelings.
Okay, let me put it this way, okay? So
I give Randy the benefit of the doubt. I strapped on I strapped on him like my story seatbelt. I was like, okay, something happened here to make you say that.
So let me put it into this perspective for you.
Do you want
okay?
to say what you said?
No.
I don't think you can say what you said. Yeah.
I said blank Gil Brandt, right?
Yes, no, you said blank that guy.
Yeah, well, yeah. But he deserved it. Okay, so...
Mind you, immediately after Rocchio said he just passed away, and that was instant reaction.
Instant reaction.
Yes.
Let me put it into a little perspective. I'm sure, not that I have gone to therapy, but I'm sure if I went to therapy and you could find the reason for my blackout rage, it would probably be the psychologist or psychiatrist would discover that the Dallas Cowboys ruined my childhood.
Yes.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, and Gil Brandt was at the helm of that. So many heartbreaking losses by the football Cardinals. As a matter of fact, I've told the story before. I'll be very brief here. I'll just say it this way. If it wasn't for the blanking Dallas Cowboys getting every blanking call, then the St. Louis football Cardinals would have never left and they would still be here. And so, blank Gil Brandt.
Wow.
Tell us how you really feel.
No.
I'm not mad at you.
Thank you. I appreciate the yards.
No, not at all.
No, it happens. You were living your truth. That's all that matters.
You know, I can see this. Man, this is brutal. In my mind's eye. This is brutal. 1984. I should get over it, right? 37-yard touchdown pass. Boom. Roy Green into his mitts. Touchdown.
Randy.
Offensive pass interference. Can't be a break.
I go to therapy, and one of the things I learned in therapy is trauma is what causes us to relive those moments. And we just keep replaying the same. And that's where the anger and the hurt. So
angst.
The angst. Just the uneasy, just not unsettled when you think about past trauma. So, yeah, that you probably have, we may have found your blackout rage.
I would say that Gil Brandt is a large part of the reason for the fact that I do have.
So, I'm in agreement with you, Randy.
It's okay.
Thank you. And you know what? Bob Costa swaying in here. No, I'm not going to.
Do it.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Ronald Acuna and how well he's performing this year. 30 home runs, 60 stolen bases. First time ever in Major League Baseball history, which I find fascinating. Shohei has done a few things the first time ever in Major League Baseball. Yeah. But Mookie Betts, because I talked about him, he's the odds-on favorite to win NL MVP. He's hitting .317 with an OPS of 1.033. Take it or leave it. You'll take that every day of the week.
Take it.
I'm going to take that.
Can we get,
oh, my gosh.
Can we get one of those guys?
Get one of them? Yeah.
Good. Mookie Betts is
play a little center
fantastic.
field. He's playing multiple positions.
Shortstop,
second, whatever you need.
He's one of those athletes, too, from Middle Tennessee, but we like to say Middle of Tennessee. Blue Raiders, there we go. He's not a Blue Raider, sadly, even though we will gladly accept him if he would like to be a part of the alumni base. He literally, like, growing up, just hearing about him, could play whatever sport that he wanted. He also is a bowling champion, so you could see him on TV competing at that. Just one of those athletes that literally is gifted at whatever he, picks up. Just kind of like CD with cornhole last night.
That was okay.
He's a great bowler. Mookie's like the best bowler in the world.
Oh my God,
right?
he's a really good bowler.
He's got 3 official 300s, I think, in league play, like regulated by the official association and everything.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, so Mookie Betts is going to turn 31 on October 7th. And you grew up hearing about him?
Yes.
What? He was that good as a teenager.
Yes, what do you mean?
He was that. He was like a legend, like a high school legend.
I'm
right?
saying like in high school. Yeah, because he's from the same area, and I actually knew some people that played travel baseball with him and stuff like that. Like people. Also, Jalen Ramsey went to Smyrna, which was near where I grew up, so people heard about him too. Yeah.
So because he went to Smyrna. Is he okay, or is he a thumbs down guy, Jalen?
Smyrna was one of our rivals.
Okay, so he's a thumbs down guy.
But yes, okay. I would say that Jalen Ramsey definitely was a lot more talented than anybody that I went to school with. There was a huge difference. So
Mookie would beat you in tennis.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I have a feeling that he could. Take it or leave it, guys. Old friend Harrison Bader is back in the NL Central. I know on this show we have to specify NL or AL.
Thank you.
Rocc is walking out right now.
It makes for a much better show when we specify.
Oh no, we lost our producer.
NL Central because
it doesn't make it a better show.
It doesn't matter to me.
Yes, I just make sure that we say NL Central, not AL Central, because we have to be very, very specific. Take it or leave it, guys. Harrison Bader plus Ellie De La Cruz is going to be really exciting to watch for the Reds. Even though I told you guys, was that my take it or leave the other day, that he would be back in the division, in the Central Division, and I wasn't expecting the Reds, but either way, I think it'll at least be exciting to see those two together.
I'm gonna. If you'd have just said Ellie De La Cruz, I'd have said take it. They
play with such joy, both of them, and he'll do something.
Is he gonna play?
Bader?
Yeah.
He'll be the center fielder.
I know, but is he going to play?
Yeah.
Not get injured?
Is he going to be injured?
Well, that's a great question.
That's a very fair question, CD.
When the spotlight is on, he had 5 home runs in the playoffs last year for the Yankees. He's a guy that shows up.
He was doing really well.
By the way, the Cardinals at Cincy next week, and then they're here. The Reds are the last weekend of September. So it'll be fun to have Harrison Bader back in town wearing red, and hopefully he'll be able to grow his hair out a little bit.
Yes, I think he will. How quickly? Maybe that's the next take it or leave it. How long will it take him to grow out his hair? A month?
His hair should not see a pair of scissors till the end of the season. Like, he should not trim it or anything.
No. During COVID, he had a bad play. I don't know if he dropped a ball or he made a mistake. And all the post-game interviews, Brooke, you'll remember this. All the post-game interviews were on Zoom. And he went to the PR staff and said, hey, I'll go on. If you want me to talk about that bad play, I'll go on. Totally accountable.
He was
100%
always very accountable.
Amazing how that works.
Yeah.
People tend to back off of you when you take accountability for your actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
crazy thought.
You want, and I thought the trade was fine. I still think the trade for Jordan Montgomery was fine. But Harrison, especially if you have a chance to make the playoffs, Cincinnati Reds, a good move. You want a guy like Harrison Bader on your side.
Yes.
Take it or leave it. Randy, you would take an unadulterated run of Cardinals football for the last 40 years over a Super Bowl.
I'll take that.
So the Cardinals never leave. They're still here to this day, but you never get a Super Bowl win.
I get the same, and this is the 35-year anniversary of the Cardinals playing their first year in Arizona. Would I trade having the Cardinals here and getting ready to open up a week from Sunday over the Rams? Yeah, I would. I would take that last 35 years over the 21 years that 20 years.
They haven't won a Super Bowl, so
but they were in one.
You got in one.
Yep. Yes, I would take having a team right now over the time that we had. And we had 5 years. We had 99, 2000, 01, 02, 03. Let's give them 04 because they went 8-8. So even 6 years. We had 6 years. I would take having the franchise for the last 35 and into the future over what we got from the Rams, yes.
I would definitely take that because as much as I loved watching 99 through 01, I was young, and my first ever Rams game in person was 02, and so like that magic was kind of out of there by the time I actually started really getting into it. Take it or leave it. If Jay says to hide behind a tree next week, the safest place to hide would be the middle of the fairway.
Take it.
Oh man, Jay, don't listen to that. Jay, cover your ears. Oh my God, I'm gonna write that joke down. That was a great joke. That was great.
Take it or leave it. The Bills are the one team that made the playoffs last year that will not make it this year.
Oh, leave that.
I'm gonna leave it.
I'm gonna leave that.
The division got harder for them with Aaron Rodgers joining.
Yeah.
So I think the Patriots aren't going to be good again. That's just my opinion.
I agree with that.
So you may have 3 teams. I don't know though, because there's so many teams in the AFC. How do all of those teams make it? 2 or 3 teams from the AFC North could make it. 2 to 3 teams from the AFC East could make it. The AFC South.
Jacksonville, man.
1 team.
Scary.
I see Bengals and Ravens.
I said 2 or 3. Relax, Rock.
Okay.
Not the Browns.
Not the Browns. But there's a black and gold team that you better
look out.
Watch out.
Yeah, you got 2 teams, two in the West, and maybe Denver will surprise some people. But maybe, you never know.
You think 2 in the West?
Do you think Sean Payton is going to have a fix by then?
Can we just take the South?
You never know.
We just take the AFC South like guaranteed division winner out of the playoffs. Just like give it to the next best
Peterson's
team.
won a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence is on his way. That defense is ascending. Here, how about this one? Quick one. And we have a lot of Bills fans. But take it or leave it. If the Bills don't win this year, the window's closed.
Oh.
Diggs is unhappy.
I probably because of Diggs and him, his anger, seemingly. I would probably take that.
Yeah. And Von Miller, by the way, going to miss the first 4 games.
Yep.
Cornerbacks are volatile. If Tre'Davious White falls off a little bit, their defense falls off. Take it or leave it. The first NFL Sunday is the best day of the year to watch sports.
Oh, I gotta take that.
Yes.
Randy, listen, it's gonna. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go by my local Starbucks, get a hot pumpkin spice latte.
Yes.
Sit on the couch for that kickoff, that opening kickoff, and I'm not gonna do. Hopefully, my son might have a football game. I don't know. I gotta check the schedule. But if he doesn't, I'm gonna sit on that couch for about 6 hours and do nothing and watch football game after game, flipping from game to game and trying to
chips and dip.
Just indulge all of the football that I can.
Taking nothing away from those glorious days. And they are, although the weather's always perfect. I like getting outside on those days. But there's nothing better than a Cardinals day opener, and then that's followed by going to a Blues night game.
That was that my first day. My first opening day was pretty spectacular. I will say that.
Yeah,
it is really fun.
I was outside. I don't like being outside around people.
There was the worst. There was a June day a few years ago.
All these people! Oh my God!
There was a June day a few years ago in 19 where it was like a perfect 78 degrees at the Cardinals game, and then there was a Blues playoff game later that night, and it was like, okay, this is an ultimate sports
Perfection.
day. I'm cool with doing this every day for the rest of my life if I had to.
Well, and you have September and October, and typically the Cardinals are doing better than what you've seen this season. You're getting ready for hockey season, football season, college football, NFL. To me, this is like the sweet spot, typically, other than the Cardinals.
It's
what
awesome.
they're doing right
And weather-wise, it's the best time of year. September is absolutely 100% my favorite month. It's great.
One last one. This one's for Brooke. Take it or leave it. The Blue Raiders cover the spread against the Tide.
Take it.
What's the spread like?
I don't know. It's probably something ridiculous.
Hold on. Let's find it here. We got to get to work. So
when I saw that Alabama was their first opponent, I was like, well, that's something.
39.5-point spread.
Oh, they cover that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, 39? I'm going over to Illinois.
Oh, there you go.
I might put a few dollars down on that. 39.5?
Mm-hmm.
What did the Blue Raiders? What did they do? When do they play their first game?
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, that's their first game?
Yes. They are facing Alabama for their first game, and then Mizzou for their second. Yeah. Coach Stock still has his hands full. That's for sure.
Yeah, but they're good. They just got a good program. You could always count on them to have that great quarterback going. And hey, go in and clobber Mizzou on a homecoming game.
Somebody did say first 2 days of the NCAA tournament, those are pretty good.
They are.
Those are pretty good.
You know what?
Those are really good as well.
Were those better for you guys pre-pandemic when people would go to sports bars? I loved going to sports bars for the NCAA tournament. Now it's accessible to all of us at home, and you can sit and watch. I liked watching it with people.
I think it's good because people take off work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to work these first. Like, and you can, anytime you can have a day where games are nonstop of something that you enjoy, I think those are really good days.
Thank you, Matthew. And thank you very much for your text. Coming up, how concerned are you that the Pirates appear to have passed the Cardinals in the NL Central? And they aren't the only ones. That's next on 101 ESPN.
perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Brought to you by Schnucks Rewards. Reward yourself. Earn 2% back on every purchase with the Schnucks Rewards app.
The Pittsburgh Pirates have not finished ahead of the Cardinals in the standings for 30 years. And it appears that they are going to. As the teams start a 3-game series tonight at the ballpark, the Pirates are 61-73. They are 13.5 games behind the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers, and the Cardinals are 16.5. If the Cardinals would sweep the Pirates over the weekend, they would be even with the Pirates in the standings. Not only is that somewhat alarming, but the Brewers are in first place in the division. The Cubs are in second. The Reds are in third, and the Pirates are in fourth. Cardinals, obviously, in fifth. But at the moment, as we speak, MLB Pipeline has the Pirates farm system rated as the second best in all of baseball. They have the Brewers farm system. They lead the division, rated the third best in all of baseball. They have the Cubs farm system, third in the division right now, rated fourth in all of baseball. And they have the Reds as the number 5 farm system in all of baseball. How alarmed are you guys that the Cardinals, A, are in last place, and B, rank behind those other teams in terms of rankings for farm systems? Those teams are 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have to scroll all the way down into the 20s to find the Cardinals. And granted, the Cardinals have brought a lot of players up, but right now their farm system is ranked 22nd, while their division mates are ranked 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, that always doesn't transfer into success at the major league level. I think that's my biggest thing to take away from that is just because you have maybe some of those highly touted after prospects, that doesn't mean that that's always going to go to the major league level. I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but how many of those top prospects actually make it to the majors?
Yeah, it's about 50%.
Yeah.
Not if that.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think what you said, Brooke, the fact that the Cardinals prospects, for the most part, are here. Mason Wynn is here.
Yeah.
Jordan Walker is here.
Exactly.
Nolan Gorman, like the guys that would be in the minors, the younger guys that are really good, they're here and they're starting. So I don't take too much. I don't worry too much about that because that seems to be, just where we are right now. And eventually, those guys will be in the majors and the pipeline. The list will be much different.
Yes, and then I think it's just going to take a few years, too, to really see how this plays out, right, between the Cardinals and the others in the division of what is actually working. That's why you hit it right there, CD, when it comes to you have Mason Wynn here, you have Jordan Walker here, and I know Tink Hintz, his numbers down in the minors haven't exactly been great as of late. It seems like he's battling with some sort of finger injury while he's pitching, but Tink Hintz, once he gets here... Yes, I know. We've seen how that goes. But getting that core young group together, I think, is going to make a huge difference. And then Victor Scott seems to be another player that they are really high on. So you already have Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn getting those much needed reps this season. I think that's going to pay off for the Cardinals, hopefully, by next year.
I appreciate you guys' optimism. I think it's great.
We're being sunshine and lollipops over here.
And if the pipelines are much better for those other organizations and the Cardinals have all of their guys here, it would also explain why they're fifth in the division and why they're struggling. They have younger guys. Now, their older guys need to play better as well. Mm-hmm. But the younger guys are still learning, still figuring things out, going to make mistakes. That comes with being a young athlete and young in your career, figuring out how to play the game the right way. And the Cardinals will do that.
The thing that alarms me, and I hope the Cardinals' young stars, specifically the two people that you mentioned, Walker and Wynn, can rise to the occasion because it looks like Ellie De La Cruz is the real deal. Mm-hmm. I think O'Neal Cruz is going to be the real deal.
Yes.
I don't know what the Cubs are going to do in terms of Bellinger, but if they keep Bellinger, we know he's the real deal. And then the Brewers, they're going to have to keep their pitching around. That's why the Brewers are good, is because of their pitching. But they have this incredible ability to develop pitching. And, oh, by the way, apparently there is consternation on the part of the Brewers in their front office. They might lose their manager after this season. He might resign, and he might go join his former general manager with the Mets. That could happen. And so,
yeah, the Mets report's very interesting, by the way. And then the Brewers also, all the rumors about possibly them being relocated because of the stadium.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there with Milwaukee.
Yeah, I just, and 1997, by the way, was the last year the Pirates finished ahead of the Cardinals in the standings. 1997.
That's, well, it's still time left this year.
Yeah, there is. But it's somewhat alarming that whenever you've been so dominant for so long and then you have a year like this, it sends up a red flag for me.
It does. And that's completely fair because it makes you wonder how exactly we got to this point with the Cardinals this season. And when you point out the young prospects, you don't want to continue to find yourself in these situations where you're falling behind. Because what happened this season with the Cardinals, too, another thing when it came to pitching, who are they going to call up? Bullpen. Who are they going to call up?
Well, that was part of the problem. The bullpen was they didn't have the flexibility, right? They couldn't send people down, couldn't move them around. If they did, they had to put them on waivers and potentially lose them. So you didn't want to do that. So they were kind of hamstrung in that terms of not being able to have that flexibility and move people up and down as needed.
And hopefully all the trades for the young pitchers will enhance their ability to do that next year. That's today's Fresh Take. It's 8:12. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. 1 week from this morning, the Ascension Charity Classic will be underway at Norwood Hills Country Club, and we're going to talk to Nick Ragone about what's happening over at the Ascension Charity Classic because everything gets underway on Tuesday with the Pro-Ams. Nick is next on 101 ESPN. It's going to be a busy week over at Norwood Hills Country Club. The Ascension Charity Classic will start next Friday morning, but before next Friday morning, there's a lot going on at Norwood, and we get a chance to talk with our friend Nick Ragone of the Ascension Charity Classic, and from Ascension, the Ascension Charity Classic presented by Emerson. And Nick, first of all, thanks for stopping by. It's always good to see you.
I came bearing gifts. I have our official Cardinals Charity Classic hats. We had our bobblehead night. We had David Freese. We're doing a collection with Rob Thomas and John Daly. And so I got to throw out the first pitch. I don't know if you saw that, Randy. But
I did. It was impressive.
It was a strike. A little velocity, maybe a little high, but it was fun.
Like 96 is what I heard.
96, floating a little bit away. I'll tell you what, though, those balls are slippery. I actually had to put it on the warning track and grit it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my God, 60 feet, 6 inches, way further than you think.
By the way, we're showing these caps on YouTube. When people go to the Classic, will they be able to purchase these?
No, these are
special edition?
These are special editions for those that went to the game Monday night,
okay.
and the bobbleheads. And I tell you, people love bobbleheads, and they love commemorative stuff. Those things went quickly.
Great. All right. Before we get to the Ascension Charity Classic, a lot going on, including the completion of the Ryder Cup team by the captain, Zach Johnson. What did you think of what came down with the Ryder Cup team?
You know, it's interesting. I was glad that Brooks Koepka was chosen. It's not a competition between tours. It's a competition between a continent and a country. And he earned his way on. I mean, he nearly qualified in just 3 events. And so I was really happy to see that. I mean, he is a great player. He deserves on that team. I'm a little surprised that Justin Thomas was picked. He's been a stalwart, yes, and he's a great player. He's had a miserable year. I do think the Ryder Cup process has turned a little bit into a clique. You know, about 8 years ago when the U.S. team lost and Phil and Watson went at it, the PGA of America really turned over control to the players. And I think it's swung a little far in the other direction now. It's become a little bit of a fraternity and a clique. And I was surprised. I don't know how you keep Lucas Glover off that team. The guy won twice. And he also, since June, hasn't been out of the top 10. So I was a little bit surprised. I think the U.S. team is going to have its hands full. A, it doesn't do well in Europe. And B, if you look at the top of the European team, you got Victor Hovland, who's the best player on the planet right now, John Rahm, who's a stud, Rory, Tyrrell Hatton. Those are 4 big-time studs. Scotty Scheffler is struggling a little bit right now. I don't know that you have 4 comparable studs on the U.S. team.
Nick, golf obviously is a individual sport, but how important is the camaraderie for that Ryder Cup team, for guys to really get along and be friends? Is that an important thing, or does it even matter? I
think it does. They talk about the team room a lot and the chemistry, and that's why Ricky's on that team. Ricky's played great, but Ricky's a team room guy, a chemistry guy. Jordan Spieth too, JT. I mean, I do think it has a lot to do with that. I think the Europeans naturally are more bonded because they travel together on their tour, but I think chemistry is a big part of it, and that's why you saw that team. I was surprised. You know, Lucas Glover wasn't on there, even though he's probably playing better golf than most of them, because he's not part of that clique. And even Keegan Bradley, you know, Keegan he's had a great year. He's been on a Ryder Cup before. I thought he'd have consideration. So it'll be, you know, to me, the Ryder Cup is, you know, tied with the Masters for the best drama in golf. Doesn't get any better.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of drama. Well, Justin Thomas, too, we've seen it hasn't been a great season for him on the PGA Tour, so there's some controversy possibly surrounding him getting that selection, but it is up to the captain to make those picks. But do you think that the gamble will pay off, that his experience will work out in this situation?
You know, that's a great question. He has really struggled in every part of his game. His putting's been off. Tee to green has been off. Now, you can hide that a little bit in the Ryder Cup because you're playing 4-ball and best ball. And so it's a team sport, but it gets a little tricky in the signals. You get exposed a little bit. I think it's a gamble. He has really played miserable golf. Now, could he rise to the occasion? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it, but he struggled down the stretch. He put a lot of pressure on himself to make that team. He's out of form, and it's tricky to find your form in the most intense scenario you have in golf. I think if they had Lucas Glover or Keegan Bradley, 2 guys who are on the muscle and playing great golf, you wouldn't have to worry as much about it, but we'll see. It's a high-risk, high-reward situation.
Nick, one of the epic things about the Ascension Charity Classic, one of my favorite things, is the Legends portion of the event that takes place on Saturday, and you've got your field set for next week.
We do. We got our legends. You're not one of them, Randy. I know you think you are. You're not.
Man.
No, I think I am. Yeah.
We got Chris Pronger, who's a legit legend, and Robert Thomas, a budding legend. Coach Berube back. Ozzy's back. And then we got Nancy Lopez and Hale Irwin. So and then we have a special legend, our CEO from Stiefel, Ron Kraszewski. So it's a lot of fun. The first 2 years we've done it, we've had about 8,000 to 10,000 people following the legends alone. And I've been out there with that group. It's amazing to see. I mean, it has a major feel to it. And they love seeing these guys. And I'll tell you, the first year, Coach and both Ozzie plays a ton of golf and is great. They were nervous. I mean, when you get up on that first tee and you see 8,000 people lined, you're not going into the boards checking somebody. You're not making a throw in the hole. You got to sit there with the ball and produce. And it's a lot of fun to see those guys, and the fans really love it.
Well, and also just to get that support from locals like them just shows how many people are buying into the Ascension Charity Classic and see everything that you guys have been able to accomplish. Now, you talked about some newcomers this year with Chris Pronger and Robert Thomas. Have you been able to scout them out or kind of see how their golf game is?
I've been texting with Pronger. They tell me he's a good player, and Thomas too. I think he played in the Pro-Am last year with Bennington, so they've both been out there, I think. But they're going to get, I guarantee you, they will get a case of the jitters on that first tee. Ozzie plays as much golf as any human being. He's practically a professional golfer. In fact, I'll be playing with him on the Pro-Am on Thursday. But even he got, I think, a little anxious the first year. And I'll tell you, when we had Nicklaus and Watson the first year, more people were screaming for Ozzie than they were for Jack and Tom. Yeah. I mean, the local legends, just people love coming out and seeing them.
It's amazing how, as you said, a guy could be a Hall of Famer in one sport, but doing something like swinging a golf club, it's already nerve-wracking when no one is watching. But you got 8,000 people out there staring at you, wondering how you're going to hit this ball, and all eyes are on you. It really can become one of those things where you're like, oh my goodness, this is maybe too much.
It takes you out of your comfort zone. I just wish I'm playing with Randy on our Tuesday Pro-Am. It's not open to the public. I wish you were playing on Thursday in front of the public, Randy, just to see you go through that. We can absolutely get cameras on Randy.
You got to have, listen.
We're going to be playing with Paul Stankowski.
Yet. You haven't seen
I know Blackout Rage on the golf course.
Blackout Rage.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a thing? Is that?
Yes, it is.
A thing.
We're playing, by the way, we're playing with Paul Stankowski on Tuesday, who's been playing great on the Champions Tour, and my good friend Pat Britt, who's like the 8-time club champion at Norwood, so no pressure there.
No pressure. I'm looking forward to it. I really appreciate you inviting me out, and I've been hitting it okay for me, but I'm certainly not going to carry the crew, but I'm thrilled that I'm going to get an opportunity.
We're not counting on you to carry the crew.
I appreciate that.
Don't worry.
I'll try to add some sports talk to the mix. But we'll have a good time. And the course is glorious. It looks sensational, and the weather is going to be good. And people, if they want to come out, like you said, the Thursday Pro-Am is open to the public, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, people still have the ability to, if they want to, get out to the Ascension Charity Classic. How can they do it?
Go to AscensionCharityClassic.com. We still have week passes. We have our Club 314, which is a lot of fun. And Thursday is open to the Pro-Am and open to the public, the Pro-Am. And a funny story, the first year, I had forgot that we opened up Thursday to the gate. And at about noon, I was having lunch with the commissioner, and somebody came in and said, we have about 5,000 people on the grounds. And they were mostly following John Daly. And I looked at the commissioner. I said, is that normal? And he said, yeah, for a Saturday. So it's we get a lot of people come out on Thursday. They love the Pro-Ams. And Friday's going to be great, and the weather should be good. And our good friend Jay Delsing is in the field.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. And people can go to AscensionCharityClassic.com for more ticket information and to get out there. And it makes for a fabulous weekend. And by the way, even if the weather is hot, there are plenty of opportunities to be cool if you're making your way around Norwood Hills.
A lot of good beverage, a lot of good food. It's a great time. The parking, it's easy to get in and out of. In the first 2 years, the biggest compliment we got was how easy it is, how great Norwood is, and how easy it is to get in and out and spend a Friday, Saturday, Sunday outside with friends and family, eating, drinking, and watching the best golfers in the world.
And finally, John Daly is good to go. He'll be here. And
JD will be in there. He's raring to go. I heard that the local Schnucks has stocked up on party bag size of M&Ms for him, and Diet Coke, and maybe some cigarettes and other stuff. And,
I was going to say,
and some other stuff. He is the Pied Piper of golf. There's nobody like JD.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
And, it's fortunately for you guys, you don't have to subject yourself to seeing me play with such accomplished golfers on Tuesday.
Oh.
But I'll hit some shots.
Hit them straight. You're good.
That's my goal, is to hit a few straight. I'm looking forward to it. I have to play all weekend to prepare. It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carrie, Randy, and Matthew. And coming up, we have the fight. Do you need a fighter, Matthew? We do need a fighter. All you need to do is text in to 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO with your name and the word fight. And if you'd like to participate on this last fight before the last summer holiday weekend of 2023, then text in now to 301-439-9646, and we'll have a fight next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Last night, Missouri Tigers started off their 2023 season with a bang, 35-10 win over South Dakota. The quarterback competition, as Brady Cook goes 17 of 21 for 172 yards. Sam Horn on the other side, 3 of 5 for 54 yards. Also in college football action last night, Lindenwood over Wisconsin Stevens Point, 77-9. Their quarterback, Carl Duggar, 9 of 14 for 263 yards. That's 18.8 per play and 4 touchdowns in that game. Cardinals back in action, starting a 3-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates later today. It's a 7:15 first pitch. Dakota Hudson will be on the bump for the Cardinals. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Vince. Vince, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Doing wonderful. Are you ready to take on Randy Carricker?
Well, let's see how this Labor Day weekend starts.
Well, Vince, you have a great opportunity here. It's Friday. We don't have work on Monday. And so we're putting I'm putting a lot of pressure on you today to beat Randy Carricker so that he can stew over this for 3 whole days.
I'll give it my best.
All right, here we go. Before last night's record-breaking home run to make Ronald Acuna the first ever 30-60 player, the highest home run total for a 60-base stealer was 28. Who set that mark? Was it Lou Brock, Hanley Ramirez, or Ricky Henderson?
Let's go Lou Brock.
All right. Question number 2, and this is going to sound a little familiar at first, but different question in the end. So before last night's record-breaking home run to make Ronald Acuna Jr. the first ever 30-60 player, the highest stolen base total for a 30 home run hitter was 52. Who set that mark? Was it Barry Bonds, A-Rod, or Eric Davis?
Let's go A-Rod.
Since the advent of the preseason polls in the 1950s, only 2 football programs have ever gone number 1 wire to wire. Florida State was one. Who was the first in 1999? Who has done it since? Is it the 2004 USC Trojans, the 2006 Ohio State Buckeyes, or the 2016 Alabama Crimson Tide?
I want to say Alabama, but I think USC did it in 04.
All right.
Is that where you're going? Final answer?
Yeah, final answer.
All right.
We always like to celebrate birthdays here. So happy birthday to J.D. Drew. Which team selected Drew 2nd overall the year before the Cardinals would take him 5th, refusing to sign because of a contract dispute? Was it the Mets, the A's, or the Phillies?
Let's go with the Oakland A's.
All right, we'll double-check our score, and we will bring in Randy Carricker.
Vince, how well do you feel about the things that I needed you to get done for today?
I wouldn't count on me now.
Come on. We gotta have confidence. Randy is
it's always easier when you're not on the phone.
Yeah, trust me, I've done the fight a few times. It is much easier. It's easier for me when I have the answers. So I get it. Randy, say hello to Vince.
Vince, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. Looking to take you down from East Tennessee.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, doctor.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, good luck.
Is that Balls Country or where is that Tennessee Ball? I guess the whole state is Balls Country. All right.
Country, but
Cool.
yes.
Okay, Brooke, you just want to give us like 30 seconds of Rocky Top?
No, I shouldn't do that because Mizzou got a win last night. I'm not going to do that.
See,
I'll sing.
You know what?
We're
You do it. There
loyal
you
to
go.
you, Illinois.
There you go.
We're orange and blue, Illinois. We'll back you to stand against the best in the land, for we know you have sand. You turn my mic off? Okay.
That was
Illinois,
beautiful.
rah, rah.
Rah, rah,
There you go.
Yeah. Well, you're right, Brooke. Illinois hasn't put 60 up on Mizzou the last 2 years.
Oh.
There's that.
Oh.
All right, ready? Here we go. Before last night's record-breaking home run to make Ronald Acuna the first ever 30-60 player, the highest home run total for a 60 base stealer was 28. Who set that mark?
28 homers and 60 stolen bases. Ooh, this is a good one. It's obviously recent. Maybe not. I will go. I'm going to say Barry Bonds with the Pirates. I'm going to go with him.
All right. Before last night's record-breaking home run to make Ronald Acuna Jr. the first ever 30-60 player, the highest stolen base total for a 30 home run hitter was 52. Who set that mark?
So 30 and 52.
30 home runs,
30 home runs
stolen
and 50
bases.
Stolen bases.
Yes.
I'm thinking, well, I'll do the lifeline on this one. I have a person in mind, but I'm going to do the lifeline.
Barry Bonds, A-Rod, or Eric Davis. Why are you laughing at me?
Ooh, Eric Davis is good.
Is it because you saw what I just did? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Eric Davis.
It was inconvenient. The bad timing on my part to put a muffin in my mouth when he walks the line. I was hoping nobody would know. Muffin Man.
All right, ready. Since the advent of preseason polls in the 1950s, only 2 football programs have ever gone number 1 wire to wire. Florida State was the first in 1999. Who has done it since?
Florida State in 99. I'm going to just play the chalk here and go with Alabama because they've won so many championships and they've been expected to win so many championships. I'm going to go with Alabama Crimson Tide.
All right. I am finished with my muffins, so here's question 4. Happy birthday to Janie Drew. Which team selected Drew second overall the year before the Cardinals would take him 5th, refusing to sign because of a contract dispute?
I believe that would have been the Philadelphia Phillies.
And who was his agent?
Scott Boras.
No way. Who could have seen that one coming?
And then when he went to Philadelphia as a member of the Cardinals, he got batteries thrown at him.
Those Philly fans are...
they're serious.
They are.
Yeah.
Also, we're very serious here on the fight because we have another tie.
Wow.
Another low-scoring tie here. Can our man from Tennessee take down Randy Carricker? We'll see about that. We're going to go through the question or the rules really quick for the tiebreaker question. I will read the tiebreaker question. We'll then give Randy a moment to write down his answer. After Randy has written down his answer, shown everyone, we will then let you give your answer for the tiebreaker. Are you ready, Randy, with your paper?
I'm ready.
All righty. And are you ready on the phone? I'm blanking on the name.
Vince.
Vince. That's it. My God. Sorry about that, Vince.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
I'm ready.
Ready.
In his first 3 years as a pro, Vince Coleman stole 100 bags in every season. How many total bases did he steal in his first 450 games played? In those first 3 seasons. His first 3 years as a pro, Vince Coleman stole 100 bags in every season. How many total bases did he steal across those first 3 seasons? 450 games played. Giving Randy a moment to write down his answer here.
Yeah, okay. I got it.
All right, Randy.
Hold on. I did math.
And, okay, we have Randy Carricker's answer.
Wow, you showed your work.
Vince,
Good job.
Vince, what is your guess, sir?
Let's do 395.
All right, a little math here, and we have a winner in today's fight. Was Vince able to come in on a Friday before a long weekend? So if he wins, we have to stew with it over 3 whole days, and Randy's going to come in extremely angry on Tuesday. It'll be a fun fight for everybody involved except for me. Or does Randy Carricker get to ride off into the sunset of a long weekend with another Mega Mind victory? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Randy?
Oh, you need that.
sounderless. You know what? It's almost more disrespectful to Vince that you didn't have the sounders ready, Randy.
I was prepping for the next segment, actually. Sorry about that.
It just got silent.
I'm sorry.
We do have food in here distracting us. So I think that's what's
Vince.
going on.
The silent cold shoulder from Randy's sounders do indicate that he got a victory in the tiebreaker today. You guessed 395. Randy Carricker, hold up your guess for the camera and everybody.
My guess was work included.
Work included. It was 315. He stole 326 bags across those 3 seasons, so Randy Carricker just edges you out on the tiebreaker today, Vince.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. You all have a long weekend.
Appreciate it. We will.
Thank you.
We'll have a long weekend.
Go through those answers. It was a tough one today. Each one of you got one correct. For last night's record-breaking home run to make Ronald Acuna the first ever 30-60 player. The highest home run total for a 60-base stealer was 28, with Ricky Henderson, who did it 2 different times. Also, before last night, the highest stolen base total for a 30 home run hitter was 52, and that was set by Barry Bonds. Since the advent of preseason polls in the 50s, only 2 programs have ever gone number 1 wire-to-wire, Florida State in 99 and USC in 2004. Alabama had 2 different chances before getting stopped by Clemson.
Wow.
And happy birthday to J.D. Drew. He was, in fact, selected by the Philadelphia Phillies 2nd overall. They refused to give him the $10 million guaranteed that Scott Boras wanted. He went and played 1 year in independent baseball and then got drafted by the Cardinals a little bit later, signed a $7 million contract, and then the rest was history. So a 1-1 tie and then a win in the tiebreaker for Randy Carricker today. Again, Vince, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Vince. Have a great weekend. Vince with us on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we'll be joined by our Blues insider, the one, the only Jeremy Rutherford, is next on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
for the Rutherford Report on 101 ESPN.
Anything you folks want to know about the fascinating world of pro hockey, here we go.
Carrie, Randy, we always like to welcome Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues insider from The Athletic, to the Celebrity Line. Good morning, JR. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me, and doing especially well this morning because I might win something. As you guys know, I'm always listening to the station on the app. It's the first thing I do when I pop up in the morning. That's not a plug. I actually do that all the time, and my phone beeped this morning and said that I've listened enough that I qualify for a prize. So I'm waiting to ask Mike Ryder what that is.
Yeah, we got to ask him.
We got to ask him.
What's your prize? We'll figure this out.
We do appreciate you being as avid a listener as you are, and then you get to participate in the show too.
Yeah, this is the best part. Joining you guys, I'm looking forward to it all season. You know, we've been talking the past couple of weeks and hit on a few topics, but hey, listen, we're getting going here in a couple of weeks, and we're going to talk about some concrete stuff and line changes and who's banged up and who's the next opponent, all kinds of good stuff coming up. So I'm looking forward to a little more tangible conversation.
Okay, so we've got Coach, we've got Chief in the Ascension Charity Classic Legend Series next week. We've got Robert Thomas, and we've got Prongs. Give us a ranking of those three hockey people in terms of their golf acumen.
Robert Thomas, Berube, and Chief, those are the three here.
Prongs. So Robert Thomas, Prongs, and Chief, yeah.
Prongs and Chief, yeah. I'm going to go with Pronger because if he's listening, I don't want him mad at me. And also, he is always the smartest guy in the room. So if you told him that he didn't have the best acumen, highest acumen, he'd tell you that he did. So we'll go with him. And then I'm going with Chief because he can decline interviews, so I don't want to get him upset. And then we'll go Robert Thomas because, Randy, you know, way back when I started covering the Blues, I was about the same age as these guys, but now I'm older than Robert Thomas, so I can kind of put him in third there.
Yeah. Nice. And his favorite thing aside from hockey is to get out and play golf. He's a really good golfer. So it'll be interesting. I'm intrigued about watching those guys next week.
Yeah, you're right. He does love the golf. I would think, though, when I'm around these young guys like a Kyrou and a Thomas and you know, Jake Wallman, those guys, you know, back in the day, I think video games is second, third, fourth, and fifth on their list, and then golf. So I heard you guys' conversation, of course, listening all the time. Heard your conversation the past couple of days about these young guys in the video games. So I can fully agree with that assessment.
Jerry, I thought you were going to say Pronger would be the best because he has the most time in comparison to the other two. They're a little bit busy. They don't have as much time to play golf, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. But Prongs, you know, in the business industry and, you know, has his travel company and some other things. So a busy guy. But heck, you heard Nick earlier. We're going earlier. He said that he's texting Prongs all the time and they're yapping about the golf. So I do think that he gets out probably more than those other two guys.
Oh.
Well, JR, you have a great article right now out on The Athletic talking about Blues Colton Parayko is the title of it. Blues Colton Parayko focused on winning back fans, quieting trade talks in 2023, 2024. So in this article, there's a lot of things addressed, specifically the part that I just mentioned there in that title, the fans' frustrations, because you even addressed that in I believe the second paragraph where fans maybe considered him a little bit too soft. And you give the perspective from Colton on how he feels about things. What is the mindset from Colton going into the season? And he definitely talks about in the article his frustrations with himself and how everything's went last season.
Yeah, thanks for setting it up, Brooke, like that, because, you know, trying to explain, you know, where the interview goes and where the player takes you a little bit is, you know, I don't know that I've ever interviewed an athlete, and Carey can probably attest to that, where their focus and their drive is the fans. To me, that's never the case. They want to play well, and they want to play well for themselves, for their teammates, and then with that comes whether, you know, the fans can appreciate the way they play, so on and so forth. And so with Colton Parayko, just because there's been so much conversation the past couple of years about the fans and being critical of him and the way he plays, so on and so forth, that I definitely wanted to address that with him. And he said, hey, look, I had a tough season last year, but I do feel, looking back, that that's one of 8 years, and I feel like I can bounce back and have a good season. And, of course, we all want to play better for the fans. You know, they're paying the hard money and coming to the games and watching us. So I think with that hard work to make himself a better player and bounce back, he hopes that people will see that. And I think that's where that fan aspect comes in.
I know he would never make an excuse, but did he ever mention if he was injured at all at any point last year? Because he looked like he was maybe moving a little bit slower than in the past.
Yeah, and see, that's another thing, Carey, that as a reporter, when you're talking to these athletes, they're not going to tell you everything, right? And so, when you talk to Colton Parayko, which I've done a couple of times in the past couple of years, and flat out asked him, has the back been bothering you? He said, no, I've been fine. So he only played 32 games a couple of years ago in that shortened season. I believe he missed 21, but he's come back and played almost every game since then. And at times it does. It looks like he's laboring. It looks like there's something wrong with him. It looks like he's not the Colton Parayko that we remember from a few years ago.
Yeah. How long?
I think it was, since I listen a lot, I know that it's about a week back.
Oh, JR,
Proud of you. Good job. Appreciate it.
Oh, these back issues. It's a problem.
Can't miss one of those. So you talk to him about it, and he tells you, hey, look, it's not a problem. So, Carey, is it a problem every once in a while? Is it a problem that he just doesn't want to admit to? It could be, but he claims that there's no issue, and he's been on the ice for these games, so it's not like he's missed a ton of action because of it.
What about his partner? And as you reported, the Blues were interested in trading for Travis Sanheim earlier this offseason to try to get him, Colton Parayko, a partner. They've done it with Leddy. They've done it with Scandella. It seems like that's like a never-ending pursuit for Doug Armstrong to get the right partner for Colton Parayko.
Yeah, it really has been. And Colton and I talked about Jay Bouwmeester and what a great pair they were. They were a shutdown pair, of course, in the 2019 Cup run. I went back and looked back just to verify it. I mean, Colton Parayko got Conn Smythe votes in that Stanley Cup run, and that's how good they were with Jay Bouwmeester. Since then, they haven't been able to find a partner that has really meshed with them. You had Marco Scandella, you had Nico Mikkola, Torrey Krug's been up there a bit, and they just haven't been able to find that guy. And, Randy, what's interesting about the name Travis Sanheim, Philadelphia, and if people aren't familiar, that was the trade that was in place. If Torrey Krug accepts the deal to go to Philadelphia, Travis Sanheim would have been involved coming here to St. Louis. And when I worked on this Colton Parayko story, the name that kept coming up in a lot of the analytics was Travis Sanheim. And when I say that, I'm talking about defensive zone starts, and he was really good in that area. So I think that even though Travis Sanheim, Philadelphia, had the monster contract, he's starting an 8-year deal this year, and people said, why bring in another guy with a long-term contract? Perhaps that was a situation where moving Krug, you put Sanheim with Colton Parayko, maybe Nick Leddy slips down and plays with Justin Falk, and you kind of have a different look with that top four. Perhaps that's what they were aiming for. But nonetheless, Colton Parayko, they still continue to find that right partner for him.
JR, wouldn't most people say they don't think that it should matter who Colton Parayko is, who he's playing with? He should be the one uplifting the player next to him, not the other way around.
100%. And I think, I think back when you asked that question to, I've written a ton of stories about Al McInnes and Chris Pronger over the years, talking about Pronger again. And that's the number one thing that all of their ex-teammates and coaches say is it didn't matter who played with those guys. They made them better. And listen, I don't know at this point that anybody's looking at Colton Parayko and putting him on the same pedestal as a McInnes and a Pronger. These are Hall of Famers and have their numbers up in the rafters, so on and so forth. So maybe, he just isn't that type of player where he can lift you up. But to me, with the physical attributes he has and the experience he has winning a Stanley Cup, and heck, we've seen it. We've seen it in that Stanley Cup run. He's got to be able to pull 50, 60% of the weight, regardless of who his partner is. And if he's not making that player better, at least be consistent himself. And he hasn't done that, at least last year, and then a little bit before that with that shoulder.
Well, sorry. I was just going to say my big takeaway from the article, not to give too much away, because it is fantastic. It's a fantastic read as always. Is that he wants to win back the fans, and that it just felt like he was thinking too much last season. So, was there any other details that he gave you about how he's going to approach this season mindset-wise? Anything that he's been working on this offseason?
Yeah, that's the thing, and it was a little bit hard to convey in the article, but, when his number one takeaway from last season is that he was just hesitating, he was thinking too much, he wasn't jumping like he usually jumps, I kind of paused and I looked at him, I say, hey, listen, if you need to work on your shot, you can go work on your shot. If you need to work on faceoffs, you can go work on faceoffs. But mentally, how do you work on not thinking as much as you did and just react? And, he said that he watched the video, he sees where he's pausing, he's hesitating, and just realizes he needs to keep the mind free and just be able to react in those situations. Part of this, too, I think we're going to learn as the weeks go on here with the new coach, Mike Weber, on defense. How can they react in the system? The Blues did make some defensive tweaks last year. Colton probably, just being as polite as he can, said, hey, it wasn't enough to make a difference. But some of the things they were doing last year, perhaps that led to these defensemen, including Colton Parayko, not being able to react like they normally do. And so we'll see what Mike Weber comes in here and installs and see if it's a system in which Colton Parayko feels comfortable enough that he can just jump into the play.
JR, what's going on for the 3-day weekend? You got a barbecue set up or anything?
Yeah, we are. This is the big extended family trip to the Huza River, and we got a nice big log cabin lodge that sleeps about 20 and have a blast. So we'll be getting down there tonight and coming back on Monday. So looking forward to it.
Have a great time. Be careful, and we will talk to you next week. And right around the corner, we've got Blues training camp. Here we are. It is September, and so with that, we're going to have Blues training camp. Excited? There we go.
Yeah, the music going. Blues and Brews, too, on September 22nd. So we'll see everybody out there.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, JR.
Hey, thanks, guys.
See you. Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues Insider. Do you remember when it comes time, September? This is my favorite, listen to very loud song.
Wait, we can't play it. Just a real quick tidbit because we're talking about the Blues. This was actually when they were trying to find songs for their Stanley Cup run. This was one they were considering, and then they eventually went to Gloria.
Gloria wound up being pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rocc, you're a party pooper.
Matthew just he just got fined by the NFL.
He's a party pooper.
Yeah.
No fun.
It's okay.
No fun,
You're just dancing and having fun in the studio.
Your job is to keep us from having fun. Good.
Yep.
Proud of you.
Yeah.
Glad you're proud. You wake up every morning. You're the uniform police, right?
Today?
Supposed to stop you from
What can I do to keep you all from having fun today?
I am simply the traffic guard. I am the traffic cop of this show. That's all I am.
Where's your badge? Where's your sash?
I don't know.
He's like the hall pass monitor, isn't he?
A little bit.
Where's your hall pass?
What are you doing in
You should
here?
be in
What
the
are you doing down this
classroom.
hall?
We got to go to break.
Coming up, it's a rush hour reset on 101 ESPN.
recap the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Brought to you by Clubhouse Turf, your exclusive partner of Celebrity Greens. We're redefining private golf.
It's 9:03 in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Kerry Davis, Randy Carricker, Matthew Rocchio. It is Labor Day weekend, and so in about 15 minutes, we're going to talk to Chris Schaefer from Heavy Smoke BBQ. As a matter of fact, he's walking through the door in just a moment, and we're going to talk about barbecuing for your holiday weekend, so we're looking forward to that. But right now it's time for our Rush Hour Reset. Lindenwood rolls Wisconsin-Stevens Point last night at Hunter Stadium, 77-9. Cole Duggar, their new quarterback, 9-14 for 263 yards and 4 touchdowns with no picks. And LU off to a 1-0 start, the Division I team that plays here in the St. Louis metro area. And our state team, MIZ-ZOU, 35-10 over South Dakota. And just as head coach Eli Drinkwitz said was going to be the case, the two quarterbacks, Brady Cook and Sam Horn, splitting time.
Randy, it was not really. I mean, one guy threw 21 passes, the other one.
There you go.
No, it didn't happen.
I don't know if it's your fault, though. I think you were just repeating what you were told. And
yeah.
When you're told something, you should believe it.
Yeah, it's very interesting because with Brady Cook, there was a difference. 17 of 21 last night for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then Sam Horn took over in the second half. And I get it, like when you go with one quarterback in the first half and the other one the second, there's probably going to be a difference. 3 for 5. With 124 yards and a touchdown and an interception.
I thought you were talking about baseball.
No.
3 for 5 is a good day at the plate.
You're so right. That was a great day. Hey, he is a baseball player too, so it's just very similar to that. So, of course, on social media, people in an uproar. I think Eli Drinkwitz predicted that people might be a tad bit upset because it looks like some favoritism. So here's what Eli had to say in his post game about what he thinks about what people are going to say about Brady Cook getting some more touches.
But I'm not going to let any of y'all decide. I'm not going to let public perception decide. We'll make a decision within these walls, and we'll go with it. But I'll be honest, none of y'all's opinions matter at all. So write them what you want, say what you want. It don't matter. Nobody cares. In this locker room, nobody cares. They don't. We're going to prove it on the field, so nobody cares. So you can write your opinion if you want to. I'm almost going to go Nick Saban. I'm not going to tell you, so quit asking, but I'm not.
So that was Eli Drinkwitz on the quarterback competition. Of course, people asking questions about if Brady Cook, because he did say, just to recap, he did say that they were going to see which quarterback between Brady Cook and Sam Horn kind of takes the lead, especially after this first game, and as they navigate this 2-quarterback possibly system. But it seems like, based on his post-game comments and what you saw on the field, that Brady Cook definitely has a leg up on the competition. He even mentioned that. And what he's talking about there with what he's not worried about with what people will be saying. Well, people did have a lot to say about that. So what is you guys' take on that?
My first take, and I'll be very quick. Before you channel Nick Saban, try to win more than 6 games in a season. And I like Eli, but don't channel Nick Saban unless you're going to win more than 6 games in a season.
Well, I think my takeaway from that comment would be, you're probably never going to win when you're attacking the media, and that felt like he was from an attack place. Like you don't have to tell anyone it's your program. You do what's best for your program, and you leave it at that. We're going to make the decision inside these walls, and what you say doesn't matter to us. Hey, we let both guys play, and it'll sort itself out. We do want both of them to get an opportunity, but here's the bottom line. The best person's going to play, the best person will win the job, and that's who's going to get the reps. And when we decide that we have figured out which one of those guys that is, then you will know, because they will be playing the majority of the snaps, and that will be the way it will be going forward. You don't have to attack the media and be so defensive unless you The only time people really get defensive is when they're unsure themselves or when they're not confident themselves. And so if you're not confident or unsure, then it comes off as you want to attack someone and become on the offensive as opposed to just being confident and comfortable in who you are and what you got going on.
And I can tell you guys, being on the media side, having gone over to Columbia to cover Mizzou, not that I've done it that frequently in my career, but I have gone over there, especially when I was more on the TV side of things. And Mizzou football has always treated me so well, even during the Barry Odom era, very open and honest and welcoming to St. Louis media. But here's the thing, when you're talking about media, and you guys can go and listen to the entire press conference, it's a small market, so the people who are covering Mizzou there are a lot of students and people who are newly graduated. Nothing against them, but they also are in a tough situation where they're not asking super tough, intense questions. I've sat in those pressers where you have Eli Drinkwitz talking to media members. They're not hounding him with super intense, tough questions. It's kind of more fair questions, and I think it's fair to ask about Brady Cook in the situation. So I agree with you, CD. I was a little thrown off by, his kind of how he was very tense in that post game. It's fair questions to ask, and I'm sure if you go through it, they're being asked in probably the nicest way possible. People talk about St. Louis media being soft. Well, there at Mizzou, they're teetering on the line of that more because they're younger, they're students, they don't have much of that background with it, and that's nothing against them. But it's also the expectation of how media handles themselves there is that you're not going. There's nothing else there but Mizzou, so you kind of have to play into that.
And here's another way I look at this. And it might be egotistical from a media standpoint, but for better or worse, I believe that the people that cover the team are representatives of the fans. And when Eli Drinkwitz is saying, we don't care what you think, media, we don't care what you think, fans. To me, you should try to endear yourself to the fans. And Carrie, the way that you laid it out is perfect. Hey, we're going to let this thing play out, and we're going to pick the best guy. May the best guy win. But don't tell the fans, essentially, we don't care what y'all think.
And you may have to tell them we're going to pick the best guy, may the best man win. You may have to say that 3, 4, 5 times. And you just keep saying it.
Yeah.
And eventually, I guess that's the answer. You don't have to be offensive and attack the media in that manner, because that sounds and it feels, it just seems like a person that is unconfident in what they're doing.
And the other thing it does, and again, Eli Drinkwitz and I are friends, so it's I like Eli a lot, but at the end of the day, he did say they're going to split time, and then they didn't.
They did, kind of.
Oh, yeah, but
it was very short.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of why it's even discussion, right? Is because of what he said beforehand. Then you have the results of what happens. So then you just stick by it. It's okay to pivot and change things. And who cares what people write and say, because you're confident in what you have and who you're going to go with as your quarterback moving forward.
It's so defensive. Any coach whose first response to be like, you're writing things to get at my guys in the locker room. To your point, they're writing things because the fans have an interest in the team. No one's writing about this quarterback competition to take shots at Sam Horn, especially not anybody in that room. There might be some crazy people, but nobody in that room is writing like some malicious thing to get at your guys in the locker room. They're not writing for the guys in the locker room. They're writing for the fans. You are just in your head.
Cardinals are off today, or were off yesterday. They'll play the Pirates today at the ballpark. 7:15, Dakota Hudson against Mitch Keller, and that game can be seen on Bally Sports. We're going to talk to Chip Caray at the bottom of the hour. Cardinals back in action. We mentioned earlier Ronald Acuna becoming the first ever 30-60 man in Major League Baseball. 30 homers, 60 stolen bases. He also got married yesterday, and his team won 8-7 over the Dodgers. And St. Louis City SC playing tomorrow night at KC. Go SC, beat KC, formerly the Kansas City Wizards, by the way. Better name than the name that they have now. But I know there's a lot of people traveling over to Kansas. Yes, this team is based in Kansas. Have a great time. St. Louligans and St. Louisans have a great time. I know Bradley Carnell told us yesterday he hopes to see a ton of red in the stands, and we hope they do, and we hope that St. Louis City SC comes home with a victory over Sporting KC.
There was a report that there's about 50% of tickets right now that have been sold to St. Louis addresses.
Nice.
So
Love this.
It'll be a sea of red inside of that blue stadium. It'll be fun to watch.
I love that.
Yeah, go SC tomorrow. All right, that is your Rush Hour Reset. Coming up, it is a holiday weekend, a summer holiday weekend, our last one, Labor Day weekend. Are you going to be barbecuing? We've got some ideas for you with our friend Chris Schaefer from Heavy Smoke next on 101 ESPN. It's the last big barbecue weekend of the summer. I know that a lot of us are going to be barbecuing well beyond Labor Day, but it's the last holiday of the summer. Memorial Day, 4th of July, and now Labor Day weekend. And we always like to talk a little barbecuing before we get ready for one of these weekends. And Chris Schaefer from Heavy Smoke is in studio with us on 101 ESPN. Chris, it's always good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me.
All right, so I know we'll get a lot of questions on the text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho!
You didn't have to participate.
I missed that.
Do you want to do it with us? Let's do it again where you can do it with us.
314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho! There we go. Yeah.
Good.
That's great.
All right, so what's the big Labor Day? Is there one that for specifically this weekend that people are all over?
Like an item?
Barbecue item, yeah.
You know, I don't know if there's a specific item, but I know St. Louis is huge for pork steaks. And so I think pork steaks is always a go-to in the backyard. It's one of those things we all grew up on, and it's kind of easy to cook at the same time. So the guy, talk about being the king of the cul-de-sac, you can turn out a really great pork steak.
So give me the best prep tip for a pork steak. Do you do it low and slow? How do you go about it?
Man, there are so many different ways to do a pork steak. Like the traditional pork steak that I grew up with and a lot of people grew up with is like, sear it, char it on a gas grill, throw it in some sauce and let it get tender, right? I think that's what we grew up on. At the restaurant, we serve like a 2-inch thick center cut pork steak that we cook low and slow. We almost treat like ribs, right? So the best thing I can say, if you're going to go low and slow, you want to get good color on it and get a good amount of smoke on it, and then wrap it up with some sort of flavor and foil, butter, sauce, vinegar, that kind of stuff, sugar, and then just add that flavor while it gets tender.
And we're talking low. What temperature are we talking when we're talking low?
Well, it's kind of open to interpretation, right? A lot of guys are like 225 degrees. Yep. It's going to take a lot longer. I like to be 275, 300 just because I get bored, right? I'm not trying to spend 5 hours on a pork steak. So I always say that meat doesn't know what temperature you're cooking it at. So whatever you're comfortable at, let the smoker go,
There you go. Chris, I was wondering, inevitably, every time people get on the grill, accidents happen. So what is the best way to prevent an accident happening with grilling and being on the porch or around the house? What are some ways to make sure that you don't burn your daggone house down?
Well, first of all, like charcoal on like a wood deck, not always the best idea.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure your grill's far enough away from your house. I've seen too many pictures and videos of siding all burnt up and things, you know what I mean? I think it's just be smart, if you're working with open flame, make sure there's nothing around that's going to catch.
Correct.
Well, I want to give you a minute just to kind of flex. We were talking about competitions and how many competitions you've participated in. So tell everybody who's listening how many you've participated in and how many of you've won, and some of the maybe one that you're most proud of too.
Okay, yeah. So I started competing in like 2012. I started off slow, doing 5 or 6 a year kind of thing, and now I'm anywhere from 30 to 40 competitions a year. So I've cooked about 220 competitions at this point, and I've won like roughly about 70 grand champions and reserve grand champions, which is a first and second. And we've won 3 world championships. So in October of last year, we won the Jack Daniels Invitational, which is about the most prestigious competition that you can win.
Wow.
So that's my biggest moment.
That is amazing. So when we met Chris, I met Chris the first time a few months back, and you brought some food in, and I literally almost chased him down the hall just to pat him on the shoulder. Hey, don't leave it. This is amazing. And I love to eat, but when I eat food that makes me, really want to go talk to the person that cooked it, that's why I came and wanted to meet you and talk to you, because the food is absolutely amazing. And it's sometimes we talk about cooking with love. I think you definitely have a passion for what you're cooking and make sure that the person that's eating it enjoys it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's a really cool barbecue moment for me, and not to blow CD's head up so much, but I'm a CD fan, right? And so he like runs down the hallway and he's like, "This pulled pork is the best I've ever ate." And I'm just like, "Nice to meet you, bro." I was just stoked, but he was so excited that I was pretty stoked about it. But, I mean, that's the thing, man, is like caring about the product that you put out, and there's no better feeling than people telling you they love your food, right? No matter whether you're making pasta or you're making burgers or barbecue, right? So it's cool. People love it.
I'm glad you brought up a burger. Okay, give me your best tip. Chris Schaefer from Heavy Smoke's best burger tip for the weekend.
All right, so My daughter's competing at Kids Q now, and it's all burgers in her age group.
Nice.
And
That's
so
awesome.
she's 9. She'll be 10 next month. She's cooking the World Championship American Royal Kids Q next month.
Wow.
But she's already won multiple burger titles.
That's amazing.
Are you serious?
Best burger cooker in the house.
Oh, by far. On Labor Day, she's making burgers because she's
Really?
practicing.
Wow.
So the biggest tip I can give is get a good quality meat with fat in it. Like get an 80-20. You want a good fat, and make a nice thick burger that's not going to dry out on you, and never push down. You see those people pushing down on burgers, draining all the juice out of it. Make a good thick burger. You got to cook it long enough to get juicy and not too long to be dry, right? And so I find 140 degrees internal temperature. If you get it to 138 internal temperature, put some cheese on it, and then pull it off, you're going to be set.
Love it.
Love that.
It's intriguing.
Here's a text. How do you keep your meat from sticking to the grill? What's the best way to do that?
Well, they make a lot of great things that you can put down. One of my secrets, they make duck fat in a spray can. Ooh. And so duck fat's already got a fantastic flavor, right?
Wow.
And so you can hit your grill grates or whatever with a couple sprays of duck fat and put it on there. What a lot of people don't realize, too, is that meat will release from the grill when it's ready to be flipped. Mm-hmm. So if you were going to flip it and it's sticking, don't flip it. Leave it alone. You know what I mean? So people go to flip too early. You see people, flip a burger 8 times while they're cooking it. It's not necessary. Flip it.
One
flip
time,
it,
right?
Put cheese on it, send it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What is the best way to stack your grill? If you have a charcoal grill, what's the best way to put the charcoal in there?
Well, I like to always have some sort of an offset, right?
Okay.
So even if you got, Weber kettles, the most famous backyard grill ever. I still have Weber kettles. I love them. If you can put all your charcoal on one side, now you've kind of got a sear zone and then a finish zone. So a lot of times if you got charcoal across that whole pit, once your burgers are getting too dark, you have nowhere to go with them, right? So you could sear them off over here, move them to a little bit colder side. They'll finish because there's plenty of heat in there. Melt your cheese over there, everything.
Okay.
Wow.
You brought in some spices, and I told you during the break, I love to try different spices. Yeah. So from what you have over there, tell me what you have brought us and what kind of flavor I'm going to get.
Yeah, so I have 2 rubs on the market. One's called White Label, one's called Black Label. And honestly, kind of funny story. I thought Black Label beef sounded cool, right? So my beef rub's Black Label, but I didn't have a name for the other one. And a buddy of mine goes, "What's it go on?" I'm like, turkey, pork, chicken, whatever. He goes, "All the white meats?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I think you got a White Label."
That works out. That makes sense.
So the White Label's kind of an all-purpose. It's a little sweeter, got a little heat on the back end, and then the Black Label's kind of savory, salty, that kind of thing. But they're designed for kind of beef and then everything else. But I find that they're really great together. A lot of people don't realize that layering flavors in barbecue is a very important thing. So ribs, for example, you do a light layer of a salty rub, and then you do a heavier layer of your all-purpose, kind of a sweeter rub. It's going to add more flavor. If you just mix those 2 in a bottle and put them on, it doesn't do the same thing as actually layering the rubs.
And one of the things that I found as a Traeger guy is that the type of pellets that you use, the type of wood that you use really does matter and it makes a difference.
Yeah, they have the real hard woods out of Texas, your hickory, your mesquite, even post oak. It's a very harsh smoke, and there's only certain meats that can take that type of thing. A very mid-level is a pecan. It's a hard wood, but it's kind of got your fruit flavors. And then if you have a peach or a cherry, something like that, that's what you want to keep for poultry and the lighter meats that can't take as much smoke.
And by the way, Traeger has a great chart to match meats to pellets that I didn't look at first when I first got the grill, and now I use it all the time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, as we were just talking about, you have accomplished so much and you still are. What's the next step or goal or dream for you?
So I have, it's funny, the goals are always a moving target. I feel that's, so I wanted to win the Jack. I won the Jack. So it's now I need a new goal.
I always like to do that too.
Yeah. So I finished 3rd in the world 2 years in a row, and I'd really like to win Team of the Year, finish that. The Royals next month, I've never won. That's the last major I'd have to win. So that's a big goal of mine. But I'm at a point where it's focusing on the restaurant, growing my brand, and then competing when I can is kind of the focus.
Do they have a ranking for people in the field that you're in? Is there a list of top barbecuers, people that where are you ranked on that list?
They have
pound for pound,
pound for pound.
Best, yeah.
Well, I'm a lot of pounds, so pound for pounds. I kind of fit the barbecue mold, you know. But they do a year-long points chase, kind of like NASCAR, and that's the Team of the Year thing. They just announced a Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And then and that's going to be merit based on your wins or whatever. I don't have an exact number, but I think roughly in that division, I'm probably in the 40s or 50s all time.
Awesome.
But I started St. Louis Barbecue Society, which is a big thing out around here, and I started cooking the Kansas City Barbecue Society, which is kind of like the big leagues. I've only been cooking since 2019, and so I'm pretty young on the KCBS side.
That's awesome. Mike Johnson from Sugar Fires told us it really is a community. The restaurant barbecue people, it's a really friendly competition.
Yes. And Mike's a fantastic friend of mine. People come in all the time and they're like, "Oh, so you have a restaurant? Do you hate Sugar Fire?" And I'm like, I was texting Mike 5 minutes ago. You know what I mean? This is a great story. When I was opening my restaurant, I wanted to set up a tip pool, and I wasn't sure how to do it. And so I'm talking to my buddy who's in Kansas, and he's like, "Well, it's different from Missouri." He's like, "Text Mike." So I text Mike, and he's like, "Oh, hang on a second." He puts me in a group chat with his VP of operations. It's 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, and me and Mike and his VP of operations are talking through how to set up my tip pool. And awesome. I'm going to be direct competition to Sugar Fire.
That's what it's all about. That's great.
Where can we find your barbecue at? What's the location?
So I'm in St. Peter's off the North Service Road in between Cave Springs and Mid Rivers. The address is 4270 North Service Road. But if you get off on Cave Springs and head west or get off on Mid Rivers, I'm right between the two exits.
Okay.
Yep. Awesome.
Nice.
Looking forward to it, Chris.
Go get some Heavy Smoke.
So
it is worth it.
Yes.
It is amazing, and you will love it.
Take it from Carey Davis.
Trust me.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris, and have a great holiday weekend.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for the info. Chris Schaefer, and head on over to Heavy Smoke and check it out this weekend or in the very near future. Coming up next, we're going to talk to our friend, the TV voice of the Cardinals, Chip Caray on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Last night, the Missouri Tigers start their 2023 season with a win 35-10 over the South Dakota Coyotes. Also in action, Lindenwood 77 to Wisconsin. Stevens Point's 9. They got a couple big plays, including 263 yards on just 9 completions from their quarterback, Kyle Duggar. 4 touchdowns, including touchdown passes of 60 and 72 yards. Also, Lindenwood running for 350 yards as a team total in their offense. Back in action tonight, it's the Cardinals with a 3-game series facing off against the Pirates. It'll be Dakota Hudson, Drew Rahm, and Adam Wainwright scheduled for their starts this weekend against the Pirates. And also in action, it's St. Louis City SC on the road in Kansas City facing off against Sporting KC. That is Saturday evening with a 7:30 kickoff. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Chip, I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
It's the opening drive. Brooke Grimsley, Kerry Davis, Randy Carricker, and we head to the Celebrity Line, and our friend, the TV voice of the Cardinals on Bally Sports, Chip Caray, joins us, as he does every Friday morning. Chip, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Good morning.
Hey, I want to start with this. First of all, happy September. This is when baseball really gets going. And you've been through so many great Septembers, especially the last few years with Atlanta. It really does feel to me like a different sport when we get to this time of year.
Yeah, it's usually the best time other than October and March or April when you get it started. I mean, I know April's the cruelest month, but for Cardinals fans this year, it's going to be September because for the first time in a while, we're not going to be a part of the playoff race, but we do have a chance to impact those races and play the role of the spoilers. So, you know, as far as making lemonade out of lemons, that's what we've got to look forward to and see the growth of these young guys and see what we have in-house and see what we can look forward to in 2024.
And, Chip, we'll get to the Cardinals in a moment, but last night, Ronald Acuna becoming the first 30-60 player in Major League history, 30 homers, 60 stolen bases. You saw him from day one. How quickly did you know that he was going to be this special?
We had a pretty good inkling. You know, he's a 5-tool guy. Obviously, he's back to where he was a couple of years ago. He blew out his knee in Miami and really sort of played through that last year and was just sort of feeling his way back until he got full strength in the knee. He dedicated himself in the offseason, apparently, and came into spring training camp in great shape. And he's putting together, as you said, an historic season. And to tell you about baseball's renaissance, it's not an open and closed case that he's the MVP of the league. He's got to contend with Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts of the Dodgers, who are having equally great years, albeit in different ways. But that's a great sign for our sport that so many great players are having great years. And we're going to see enough of Ronald Acuna Jr. starting on Tuesday.
Yep.
With the year he's having, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him have a great shot at the MVP.
Well, Chip, obviously, it's Tommy Edman, the big story coming out of Wednesday and Tuesday's games against the Padres. But I wanted to ask you about Mason Wynn and Jordan Walker and how essential they were in both of those wins, too. It seems like the two young stars are starting to really come along.
Yeah, they're playing great. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're 21-year-old kids in the major leagues, and look, they're going to make some mistakes and they're going to struggle at times, but you can see the talent and the confidence and the possibilities are there. Tommy Edman's walk-off heroics in Game 2 against Milwaukee, that got all the highlights, but let's not forget the diving play that Mason made that kept a runner at third instead of scoring. If that run comes home, maybe it's a different game and the Cardinals don't win it. Defense wins you championships. That's the old NBA mantra, and defense and pitching go hand in hand in our game. And I think it's safe to say that Mason's really going to help the Cardinals down the road and now with just his ability to get the balls and keep them on the infield and make plays. As far as Jordan's concerned, games don't come around too often. And that bomb he hit against the Padres the other day was one of the longest ones of the year, and signs that, you know, he's starting to get it and starting to lock in and trying to finish his season strong. So those two guys, they're on their way. They're playing great. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and I'm looking forward to seeing how their career unfolds.
Chip, a lot of young guys. You talked about Mason Wynn, Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, possibly Tink Hence, guys under 25 years old. A lot of kids going to be enjoying watching these young players. Who was Chip Caray's player that he enjoyed watching when he was a young kid?
I was a Ted Simmons guy. Ted Simmons was my guy. Switch hitting catcher. I was the fat kid behind the plate. Ted wasn't fat. I was the fat kid behind the plate. And I loved Ted Simmons, the long hair. He could switch hit, catch it, call it, throw it. He wasn't afraid to get into a fight. I mean, he was my guy as a kid growing up in West County, and it's such a thrill to get to spend some time with him. But you make a great point, Carey, about the Cardinals. I mean, that's something else that people overlook with the Braves. When they got going, they had Albies and Acuna and Freddie Freeman, coming up through their system. Jason Hayward and all those guys played together for a long time and established a benchmark in a way that they wanted to play. I think those same sort of seeds are being sown with the Cardinals. This is still in many ways a very young team, and as these guys grow up together, both in the minors and major leagues, you have a chance to develop a style of play and a cohesion that results from a transition year kind of like the one we're suffering through this year. So that's a positive I'm taking. They're good players, there good people, and I think good times are ahead for them all.
Dakota Hudson goes tonight, and you didn't get a chance, obviously, to see him in the early part of the season because he was down at Memphis. But what have your impressions have been of Hudson since, the All-Star break?
Yeah, the last one wasn't very good up in Philadelphia, but he's attacking. He's throwing a slider more. He's getting strikes. He's not walking people. He's attacking hitters. His ball moves so much that if he can find a way to harness that command, he's a really, really tough guy to hit. He gets the ball on the ground, and I've been doing this a long time. I don't think I've ever seen a ground ball go over the fence, which is helpful. I just think he's seizing an opportunity. You guys know Dakota far better than I did. You saw him win 16 games a couple of years ago. The talent's in there. The skill set is in there. If he can limit walks and attack people and pitch confidently and stay within his game plan, which he says he got away from in Philadelphia, he's got a chance to be very successful. So obviously what he's doing is very encouraging, and hopefully we'll see that again tonight.
Some other baseball stuff. Just want to get your thoughts, Chip, on whatever happened with the Angels and placing so many of their players on waivers. That was just very interesting to see. And then the Guardians grabbing Lucas Giolito. I think some Cardinals fans were hoping to see him possibly come here. Just your thoughts on all of that went on.
Yeah, well, Perry Manasian's the GM in Anaheim, and he was the assistant in Atlanta. I know him relatively well. I give him credit. He went for it with Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon and Shohei Ohtani. They went for it. They tried to get into postseason play, but it's been a flop. They're way under 500 since the trading deadline. That didn't work. So economically speaking, they waive those guys. They get their salaries off the books. It saves them about $7 million because the other team claimed the players and took on the remaining part of their contracts. And that, I think, has luxury tax implications for the Angels as far as where they can draft and whether they can re-sign Ohtani. It may be the new way of doing business for teams that are out of contention. You just put your best players on waivers and see if they get claimed and lose the salaries rather than play them in a year where you're not going to go anywhere. As far as Cleveland, not a surprise that they claimed them. They still have a shot in the AL Central. They needed pitching. They got some. And as far as the Cardinals were concerned, I don't know that it would have made that much difference to go get those guys in a year where, we're just trying to evaluate what we have in-house. I can't speak to that. That's a question better suited for Mo. But for a team in contention that has a chance to pick up players like that where all it costs you is money, hey, why not? Take a chance, and we'll see if it works for the Guardians.
Now, Chip, the Cardinals have a game Saturday, obviously, but the big game is Saturday at 1 p.m. It is Hazelwood Central versus Parkway West. Now, I want to know if you would like to make a wager on that game, you being a Parkway West grad and me being a Hazelwood Central grad and head coach. Hazelwood Central wins. You say go Hawks on the broadcast Saturday evening. And if you win, I'll say go Longhorns on the show on Tuesday morning.
That's fair. We can do that. Absolutely.
Let's do it.
But remind me, because I'm old and I have a short memory.
I will make sure I get the text to you.
And Chip, we are roughly the same age, and we've seen a lot of great things happen. We've seen the advent of the cell phone and HD TV and the jumbo jet. But has there been a better or more functional invention in our lifetimes than the Brockabrella?
It's the greatest thing ever. I'm just glad that they found one big enough to fit my melon. I was worried about that. That's been a great invention. My wife said she's threatening to divorce me if I wear that again around the house. So I got to just leave it up here in St. Louis. I can't take it home with me when the season's over.
We'll be tuned in over the course of the weekend. We always appreciate your time, Chip. Thanks so much, and we'll be watching the Cardinals hopefully come away with a couple of wins against the Pirates.
Sounds great, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Tuesday night.
You bet. See you. That is Chip Caray. He is the TV voice of the Cardinals on Bally Sports. Coming up next, we're going to head down the stretch of this week here on 101 ESPN with Rocc and Roll on the opening drive.
want to rock. End roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
All right. We've got 101 and ESPN, 101 ESPN and Bud Light bringing you Blues and Brews on Friday night, September 22nd at Anheuser-Busch. You can get fired up for the blues season at an outdoor street party featuring live music from country music star Chris Lane and local blues musician Marquise Knox.
What was that? Chris who?
Chris Lane. Country music star.
That was good. You actually did well with the twang.
Thank you very much, Brooke. Appreciate that. Plus appearances by blues players and alumni, food trucks, blues merchandise, 101 ESPN giveaways, and more. Learn more at 101ESPN.com. All right, Matthew, what do you got for us?
Well, I have some more audio from that press conference with head coach Eli Drinkwitz from the Missouri Tigers last night. He is a big fan of his quarterback, and he does not hold back. Well, sorry, one of his two quarterbacks, I guess we should say.
And he put his butt on the line for everybody in this organization and every fan, every single game last year with a torn whatever he had in his shoulder.
Labrum.
And he never flinched. He never stinking flinched. And we asked, hey, you want to take it? No. Does Doc say I can play? Doc says you're good. You can't injure it any worse. I'm in. I'm fighting my butt off for this team. So I got no questions about his determination or him putting Mizzou first or putting the team first. That guy's a team first young man, and he's got a girlfriend. Otherwise, man, I'd be trying to get him hooked up with once my daughter's turned 18 because he's unbelievable.
Once he turned 18, at least he said 18. That's important.
That was taken out of context. It was not meant to be a weird comment. Coaches, that is actually the utmost, like the best compliment you can give one of your players. I would let that player date my daughter. That means you trust him. That means he's respectful. That means he's going to do everything the right way, and you would trust him to date your daughter if your daughter is of age. Obviously, that's what he's saying. He's not saying that to people to make it a weird, turn it into this weird thing is weird in itself. That was not what that meant. I've had college coaches ask me, would you allow this player to date your daughter? When my daughter was in high school, would you allow him to date your daughter? Probably not him. Him? Yeah, I could. Yeah, because that lets them know the type of character that they have. It's a real question, and so to me, that's not a big deal. I think that speaks more highly of Brady Cook as a young man than anything else. That's probably the highest compliment that he could have given him.
And I can attest to Brady Cook is fantastic. Obviously, St. Louis product, Chaminade, guys who know him really well and cover him when he was in high school. And he really is that. He is fantastic. I am rooting for his success this season. I know some fans had some feelings about him going into the season. But, there we go. And I knew, you see, CD? You see what I did there? I knew I was pulling him out. But here you go.
So many fans commenting about it. I understand why. I don't think. Here's the thing. I understand why fans. I understand why fans are so obsessed with a quarterback battle. Like I get it. I get why Mizzou fans particularly are so obsessed with this, and so I don't get why it's engendering so much negativity from the coaching staff. It's like, this is how football fans are. Are you shocked by this? Like, there's nothing better than a quarterback battle for a college team. That's the most. You don't get those very often, and they're always interesting. So I'm surprised why people are surprised that there's such a dichotomy here. Of course it's this way. This is how it's always going to be when there's a quarterback battle. That's kind of one of the reasons I think coaches try to avoid quarterback battles going into the season, is because there's going to be this constant conversation about it no matter what happens.
You know how you avoid a quarterback battle?
You choose a quarterback.
No, one of the quarterbacks play better. Okay. It ain't on the coach, it's on the players. The players have to play better. Give me an opportunity to pick one of you. Don't make it so close that I can't pick one of you.
I think he did pick one of them.
It's one game.
I think he did pick one of them.
It did feel like after that one game, though, that he even said that Brady Cook has the leg up on the competition.
Now, what are you going to say next week if Brady Cook has less passes than Sam Horn?
Yeah, he has a leg up on it. That's why he went out there first.
Well, there you go. But they're waiting on the other guy to see if he's able to do it. And if he's
able to rise to the occasion.
And if he's not, then he won't play.
Maybe it'll come at halftime of the national championship game.
And we saw how well that worked out for Alabama.
Yeah.
Tua came in there as a freshman, and I'm sorry. You said national championship game. I apologize.
Wasn't it the national championship?
That was, but you were talking about Mizzou. So it won't be the national championship
Brady Cook, man.
It won't.
Brady Cook.
It won't be the national championship game.
Oh, you never know.
Brady Cook's going to get cooking, CD. Come on.
I know that.
Okay, you do. You're right.
I think, and here's the thing. I think that with Drinkwitz, I don't have a problem with the Brady Cook comments. I know some people are texting in. It's creepy. I think that maybe some of the issues people have coming out of that press conference is the only reason that he had to get so defensive is because he's the one that went into that saying that they're going to look at who kind of really stands out.
Mm-hmm.
You see the difference in the amount of times that Brady Cook was used as opposed to Sam Horn, which of course is going to happen when you go with one quarterback in the first half and another one in the second half. I think it's more of his defensiveness and talking about the media members, how things are going to be written. If you are secure in what you are doing, it doesn't matter what anybody says, writes, tweets, X's, doesn't matter whatsoever. And so if he is fully confident in Brady Cook, then fans can either get behind that or not, but that's his decision as the head coach of Mizzou.
Well, I wonder what Middle Tennessee State is planning for. Are they going to plan for Brady Cook or are they going to plan for Sam Horn?
Well, I don't know. That's a secret.
$1 million
that Rick
question.
Here's the thing.
Stockstill
It's the
is going to
same
get up
offense.
to.
So,
Yeah,
same offense.
Either way.
It's not like you bring in one quarterback and
you got to try to plan to contain, because you can't stop him, Cody Schrader.
There you go. You better tackle him.
What do you have, 184
someone
yards.
was mad we didn't talk enough about that.
You didn't speak about him.
Sorry, my bad.
He rocks. He's good.
We talked about this earlier on when the news broke, but I just want to point out again. You think your college might have good boosters, but you don't have SMU's boosters. SMU joining the ACC. They are foregoing 7 years of media payouts as part of the ACC's deal. By the way, it should be said, the ACC media deal signed now through 2036.
Yes.
So probably not a very good deal overall to be pulling money from in the first place compared to some other ones. But nonetheless, 7 years SMU will not bring in any media money, and their booster said, "Fine, we don't care. You make us a top
Power Five
school again. We will give you every cent that you would have had instead of that." Just the greatest booster group I've ever seen from a non-big time blue blood power for the last 20 years.
Now that they can legally pay players like they did for Eric Dickerson and Craig James back in the day.
I think if you're SMU, the best thing ever would just be like SMU NIL and just have a parking lot full of like those gold-plated cars that they apparently gave. Was it Dickerson? They gave the
Dickerson and James,
that they gave the gold-plated car to. Just have an entire parking lot full of those and be like, business is open again.
Yeah, and now they have Houston in the Big 12. You're going to have some. For those two schools, you're going to have some situations where they're picking off players from A&M and Texas, and it's going to be because of NIL.
Good.
Yeah.
NIL is good for the kids. It's good for everyone.
It's amazing.
Except for the people that's been getting paid for decades.
Yeah.
You talked about that last night because somebody asked you about that, about like what it would have been
raking
like.
in the money with NIL.
No doubt about it.
We'd see you in ads everywhere.
Oh,
yeah.
Question.
So what do we got going on this weekend? I have no plans on Saturday, which is good.
It's always good to
That is good.
You got two things to watch on Saturday because you have to watch Illinois potentially covering a 9.5 point spread against Toledo. We like that 9.5 point spread.
Oh.
We taking it?
Okay.
I'll know after the game.
Of the Rockets.
How do you guys feel about Toledo?
I don't know. It's more for me. It's more about Illinois
They are
because
actually
their defense.
decent, yeah.
Their defense was one of the top-ranked defenses in the country last year, but they lost so many pieces. They lost 4 of their secondary members. The defensive line and linebackers will be back, but you lost the quarterback. You lost the running back that you gave the ball to 25, 30 times a game. I do not know what to expect from this team.
Yes.
And that's my fear. Defensive line, linebackers, cool, but that secondary is going to be brand new.
Didn't Illinois steal a Toledo coach one time?
Yeah, that didn't work out well. Well, Timmy. They got the wrong one, actually.
Yeah, they did.
That one's in Iowa State.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah, Matt Campbell. That's the one they wanted. Here's the thing. Right? Here's what you need to learn. Okay, I'm going to teach people something. So you have an offensive coordinator that calls plays, defensive coordinators that call plays. And so Illinois actually hired the head coach of that program because they thought he called the plays, when actually he didn't call the plays. The offense was smoking. They were doing an outstanding job. The person that called the plays ended up at Iowa State in Matt Campbell. And then we got Timmy Beckman.
How's Campbell doing?
So,
Didn't go well. He's doing great.
Mizzou got the good Toledo coach, Gary Pinkel.
Oh, they got a good one, too.
Yeah.
His teammate in college is a little bit better, though.
Nick?
Yeah.
You know what? I think that if Gary Pinkel would have gone to Alabama, he would have done what Nick Saban has done. And if Nick Saban would have gone to Mizzou, he would have done what Gary Pinkel did at Mizzou. I think they're the same coach, and I think the program is what made Nick Saban.
It matters.
Wow.
When people are invested in the program,
Yep.
it matters. It
Yep.
makes things better.
I think both programs were maximized by their coaches, and I think Pinkel would have done at Alabama exactly what Nick Saban has done.
They care about football down there in Alabama.
Oh, yes. That's very serious.
One last thing. City plus 300 underdogs on the other side of the state.
Lock
Free
of the
money.
week.
Free money.
Lock of the week. I'm sure McKernan's going to spend his whole hour talking about that.
Just the bet, though.
Yeah, just the bet.
Oh, wait, by the way, we did learn one other thing this show. It's very crucial that all of St. Louis knows this.
Did you guys know I can purr? Important to know.
Just add that
Now
to your
you
many
know.
talents. Now
Did you guys know I can purr? Did you guys? Did you know?
How about that?
How about that? The purr.
How about that?
How about that?
Oh, we didn't play that for Chippy.
Yeah, so we will be back on Tuesday. We're going to have a best of show. Good luck finding those on Monday.
We got a great show planned, actually.
Oh, really?
For the best of. Oh, yeah. I got a soccer hour with Bradley Carnell and some of the other player interviews done because we got some of the new guys who've been really successful with them. We got a whole thing of baseball. And we're replaying our championship hour. We're talking to Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Mike Jones, David Eckstein, and Kyle McClellan.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's Monday on Labor Day. And you enjoy the barbecue and everybody. And great job today by our producer, audio engineer, Matthew Rocchio.
Pleasure.
Brooke, are you going to barbecue anything?
Probably not.
Okay.
I'm not great
Are you
at
going to go to a
barbecuing.
restaurant?
Probably. I have a wedding on Saturday.
Oh, enjoy.
Yes. How about that?
How about that?
So I'll be consuming a lot of food this weekend.
Good.
Per usual.
And did you find a dress?
I did find a dress.
Well
I said
done.
yes to the dress.
Oh, good.
Nice.
CD, good luck tonight?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow, okay. Good.
Show us your face. We want to see your face. Who said that? You want to see my face?
Hazelwood Central taking on Parkway West.
Yep. And Chip is going to say, "Go Hawks."
Yes, he is.
Yes.
And
I
we
can't
thank
wait
you
for that.
for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. We do have a balloon party with T-Mac and Ajax coming up, followed by BK and Ferrario. And then it's the Fast Lane with Anthony Stalter and Jamie Rivers for all of us until Tuesday morning at 7. Have a great holiday weekend, everyone.
That's right.